Hi, it's me. I'm Wandum. I'm here. That was an old recording of me. It's a new recording of me. I'm here with Papi, Premiership multiple time champion. He's won a couple lands as well. How are we doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We're a bit, have an exam in a couple days, but it's fine. We're chilling. So
Yeah.
I think we should just start out from the very beginning, right? And the first sort of normal interview questions you get when you watch these interviews with players, because the whole plan is we want to go through most of your history, talk through some stuff. Is they usually ask about how do you get into video games? So I think I'd rather just start off like straight from the bat. Like, how did you get into TF2? Like, how did you start?
Oh, that's a good question. I think so. I'm not really sure because it was a while ago, but I'm pretty sure I saw the Mail of Rocket Genius Frag video on YouTube somewhere. I'm not sure how I came across it. Um, but I saw that and I was like, "Whoa, this is too nasty. I gotta play this game. This looks cool. Shoot people in the air." But I'm not sure how I saw that video, but it was definitely something to do with you know, was there something called White Girl Problems video? Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's a
yeah, that
viral
one.
video. Yeah, classic.
Yeah,
So you did you start playing TF2 with the intention of playing competitive, or did
yes,
so?
yes.
Because what happens with most players is they play TF2 and they
Yeah,
watch
they
like Star
pub.
and Germa, and then eventually down the pipeline you watch the Star Bud Squad video, and then you're like, oh wait, I could do that too, and then you start
Yeah, I
playing
mean, it
competitive.
was some combination of that, I think.
Yeah,
Like, it's definitely at the same time I was watching Star and Germa, but it was quite early on that I saw the Mailer video and I was like, oh, I want to play this game.
something I find really interesting about the sort of the time frame that you would expect for a competitive player. I think it says a lot about competitive TF2 that in order to even be allowed to play lobbies or TF2 centers, which is kind of considered the
Yeah,
entry level, you have to have at least 100 hours in the game, right? Like,
yeah.
and
I
so,
remember that. I was leaving it on so I could play lobbies.
and
You can check my first log. I think I go like
oof,
one, one, one kill, one death, like one assist. And I
yeah,
have some guy on my team doing 900 DPM. I thought I was carrying. I think it was like a granary game or process game or something. But yeah, I was doing nothing. Then the next game I lost in 5 minutes because I had the guy was on the other team. So
yeah, yeah. I think you have these. It's always a fun exercise. I think I encourage the viewers to as well. Go back into your logs and then go all the way back, and then click the first couple ones, and
oh yeah,
it
there's some
takes you
some
back.
interesting ones in there. Yeah.
So you're playing, and you're kind of playing with the express purpose. You're playing TF2, but with the mindset of I want to play competitive. So what does
Yeah.
that look like? Because most of us are playing pubs and having a good time, and we want to be a pro
Oh,
spy
that
player.
that was not me. My idea was, okay, I need to get Strange Rocket Launcher. I need to get it to Hail Zone, and then it'll be good enough to play a comp.
Mm.
So I would play pubs, play like Upwood and Badwater pubs until I had I don't how many kills has Hail Zone? 9,000, 10,000,
It's
something like this.
8,500, I think.
8,500. And then I was like, right, I'm going to be so good in the comp now. It's got 8,000 kills in a pub. Then I joined some lobbies and realized I wasn't very good. So then I said, okay, well, what could be the next thing? I don't know what it was. Like playing DM or something. I had terrible internet back then. I used to get so mad, like playing at home and just, I was like, how am I meant to get good if I'm playing on 150 ping? Like, this is not fair. Um, but yeah, I think I just like pubbed and I played soldier only, tried to farm kills basically. I thought that would make me good. Yeah.
There's some very this is deep cut pappy lore, and I'm not sure if I would have discovered this if I didn't dig deep. Um, there's if you go back on your YouTube channel, your very first frag video. We're skipping a bit ahead in the timeline, but we're
Yeah,
dragging
yeah,
it
yeah,
back to
okay.
now. There's you do a shoutouts bit at the end, and one of the names on there is Ips. What's the story?
Yeah,
What's the lore
yeah.
behind the Pappy and
That's the
Ips?
law behind this. So I was playing either Panda MG or I don't know what the MG server was back in the day. Maybe it was Panda. Was Panda around back then?
Probably because I think you're off the GFM Palestra era.
Yeah. I'm after,
Yeah,
after that. So I
probably
think it
it's
must have
probably
been
Panda.
Panda. And
Yeah.
Ibs joined me, and I played him, I don't know, 5, 10 times or something. And then just speaking to him, I was like, oh, how do I get good? Blah, blah, blah. And then I think he took me around Gully Wash, and he showed me like how he would play Gully Wash. And that was kind of it. He like showed me like, oh, you can hide above the legend big door, and
Mm.
he showed me like What was the other thing he showed me? He showed me you could splash in elbow to Riverside. I don't know if you can still do that in the new map. They might have taken that out on the refresh. You know, there's like that grate in elbow.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
you he was showing me like this, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
also, he also showed me you know, the old gully shutter used to be able to shoot through the left side of the gully shutter. He was showing me this and saying like some team had a strat where they were going to crit through shutter door and drop the med like blind, right? So he showed me these things, and I don't know. It was more. I think it was me more like being like, I know whips, you know, in the video. So, but yeah, that's pretty old law.
So you're playing lobbies, and you're now being coached by Ips, who
Well, I wouldn't say coach, but it was like a
no,
one night. He
you've
was like,
had a conversation with Ips about
yeah,
specifically
I've had a
lobbies.
conversation.
And so what is the transition like from doing that and playing MGE, and you're playing lobbies and stuff, and then at some point you have to start actually playing the game, right? You have to join an open team. So what's what's
Yeah.
what's the formation of this looking like?
Um, I don't think I used ETF2L. I'm pretty sure I met someone in a lobby who said he was gonna play open, and I thought he was good. So I was like, okay, I'll join his team. But I had no idea how rec posts and all this stuff worked. Like, still to this day, I never go on the ETF2L website. Like, I'm not sure I know how to submit status screenshots and stuff like this. So I don't think it was through that. But yeah, I think there was a guy I lobbied with, and he was like, I'm gonna make a team that's gonna be good. Oh wait, was it?
Do you remember which
I
one?
think it was Bohawk. I think it was
Yes.
Bohawk.
Yeah.
But I also think it might have been the demo who was called Golden at the time. And then we needed more players, and we got very lucky. We randomly found some guy called Early on the rec post, and he was so much better than everyone in open. So he kind of carried us, which was nice. But yeah, it was through lobbies. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened.
Yeah, I remember. That's a beautiful team, and this is where our paths kind of intersect. Because I was very good friends with Early as well,
Yeah,
before that as
yeah,
well, and we kind of, I ended up kind of, I didn't have a team for the season. Like, I was playing on a mid team, and it didn't
yeah.
go well.
Did it?
16-year-old Wandum was a strange creature, as you can testify to. I kind of ended up worming my way
You,
in,
you were fine. You were fine.
and then yeah, we played together. It was good. I didn't make it through the whole season. I think I ended up cutting myself even.
You got to like just before playoffs,
Yeah,
and then you rage quit.
yeah.
And
I
then Shocky joined our team. We were playing like a German team, and Shocky was in spec. You rage quit, and then Shocky joined our team
oh my
when he was like
god.
coaching the other team, and he played Black Box Punch Pocket for us. Not in Mumble, just joined and just played some DM, you know.
Yeah, he was like he was. I think he was specking through early or something like that. I think
Oh, was it because of early?
it
Ah, okay,
must
yeah.
have been right. I don't
German,
know who
okay,
else would have been
yeah.
in contact with him because it was
Well, I thought it was the other team. I thought it might have been the other team.
because that roster
Yeah,
it,
maybe.
it ended up being a collection of players that people might recognize. We had by the end of the season we were playing with Thieves on demo, who people will
Yeah.
recognize from very nice frag videos we had on Pocket, and then I left and replaced it by a very cool German guy called Avenue. Avenue was a cool guy.
Yeah, what happened? He was a beast, man. I
I
don't know what
think he
happened to him. I
just
think he played
stopped
CS
playing.
or something.
I
He
don't
just
know.
stopped.
Real life.
He was good. He was very good.
Yeah. We had Jeps on Medic, who's not really around
He's kind of.
anymore. He's in
I
the
think he plays
greatest.
some Finnish pugs every now and then.
Yeah. Jeps was cool as well. Very young at the time, I remember. Like being like even younger
Yeah,
than
yeah,
I was like 16 when we were playing. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
And then early on Scout, who obviously went on to play Premiership, and then we had the other Scout, an absolute legend of the scene, called Commander Thunder, and then I can't say his name
Yeah,
allowed to say his
Commander
last name.
Thunder.
Yeah, we called him Commander Thunder, and then some kind of male genitalia, and he was
Yeah. He
Scottish
was
guy.
pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, he
He
was
was
good.
pretty good.
He's
I'm
very.
still subbed to his YouTube. I still watch his frag videos from time to time. His old ones.
What's it? There's that one. There's that one video with the description. He has like product highlights, and then it says like "Pappy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
making fun of your bombs."
Yeah, I was a brunt of the jokes on that team. I was a mad Brit kid on the flank feeding.
So why did you start off playing Roma? Because obviously now we.
I, don't, I actually don't know. I think it was a terrible idea because I'm pretty sure I would have been better from if I started playing Pocket the whole time because I just naturally understood Pocket better from the beginning. I think I was pretty bad on Roma most of the time, but good enough to do well in the low divs. But like as I went up the divs, I realized like I don't have the decision making to play Roma properly because just things I do in my gameplay that just you shouldn't do on Roma. But I think it was Ips. I think it was Ips said you should play Roma because I think he probably looked at me and went, "His DM's pretty bad. Don't put him on Pocket. Play Roma and jump around." Um, but I actually think as I got like through open to mid and high, I would have been more suited to Pocket definitely.
Yeah, because you played with this Matt Decent. That's what the team was called. You were playing Matt
Yeah,
Decent, and you played open. You get second place in open.
yeah. And by the way, we lost
Came
to Sandbaggers. We lost to mid and high players. So
that was
we did pretty well. We lost to like what was he called, Larry? Probably can't say his first name because
yeah.
of
The
YouTube turned to service. But yeah, we lost to Larry and some other mid players or something,
yeah.
which we were mad of at the time. But, yeah,
Remember we played them week 1. Actually, we played them.
yeah, we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I remember we both after the game we sat down afterwards, and on one of the players on the enemy team was Drezzo playing medic. And I remember this.
yeah, he's so good.
We were both like bombing him. It's Badlands middle. We're trying to bomb this guy on slope, and
Yeah,
we're
we
not doing
couldn't.
damage. That
Yeah,
was
he was
fun.
really good.
Yeah.
I think I had like mental block against him. I actually remember that. I remember thinking like I couldn't kill him. Even if I hit 2 rockets on him, it was like 240. Oh, sorry, 140. And I was like, yeah, I had like big mental block against Jotto. Like I just couldn't. He was like a god, couldn't touch him.
Because he ended up joining you guys next season instead of
Yeah.
Jezzo playing
Why do
medic.
you think I couldn't kill him? So I thought get him on my team.
Yeah.
It was a smart business decision.
So you
Yeah.
play mid, and you kind of finish top 4 there as well. Actually, as far as I remember, you ended
Yeah.
up getting.
Yeah, it was like joint third, fourth. We lost the semi-final to the Finns. We lost to like Puoskari and Hems, and then we got Hems for the next season. So you can see my train of thought is
Yeah.
like, lose you, get on my team.
I don't think people understand like just the absolute despair of playing against those mid like Finnish teams.
Yeah, yeah. They're so good.
They
They're so good.
because you would play, and then most of the players you play against would be fine, but then Puoskari was also so sick, even when he was in mid. And you'd go to mid, and then you'd look at the top of your kill feed, and half your team's dead, and this guy's just pistoling them all down.
It was, I mean, they were just, him and Hems were just like a div above. Like they were like top, high, low Prem players playing mid, and they just smashed us, I remember. Like, I remember we played Process, and afterwards I was like, why are we playing Process against these guys? It's not fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you played this season, and then you finished like top 4ish, and then you ended up taking a break season 24.
Yeah, that's right.
Did not
Because
play,
of
and then
school.
you come back season 25. This time you're playing with Nunya in high instead. What's that transition like? Because obviously Nunya is kind of you're playing with Early again, right? And Early was friends with a lot of these Nunya guys. What was kind of the transition into joining this kind of effectively friend group like at the beginning?
Yeah, I don't really remember it at the start. I know Condog murked like one game for us in mid in the playoffs. Um, but he had really bad internet. He was like lagging out everywhere, so that wasn't good. Um, yeah, I took this season off after mid to I had some school exams, so I wanted to study. And then I actually think I joined a mid team first. I played with Larry in mid on Pocket,
Yeah, that was your first
and
pocket debut. I didn't think we were
yeah,
gonna talk
and
about
then
that.
I got cut 2 weeks into preseason,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And then I think Early was like, join this team. And I remember saying to him, like, I don't want to join. They fold every season. Like, because the last 2 seasons, I think they folded like week 3. I was like, I want to play the whole season. I don't want to fold. So he promised me, like, promise you they're not going to fold. They'll play the whole season. So I joined on Roma. I guess I just thought, like, I don't know, maybe getting cut from Pocket. I thought, okay, I'm not good at it, so I'll go back to Roma. And also, Yellen was the Pocket on the team, right? I wasn't going to replace their, like, captain kind of. And then like 1 week into the season, Condog's going to university and he says, "Oh, there's no internet in my university dorm. Like I can't play." And we just thought he was lying. We were just like, "This guy's lying. Like, what does he mean the Ethernet port doesn't work? All this stuff." Turns out it was true. But yeah, so my impression in the beginning was this was terrible. Like they've told me they're not going to fold, and before the season starts, the medic leaves. Um, so then we picked up, was it Enir or someone like this?
I think so.
Some
It might have
Russian
been at the
guy. I think.
start because I think towards the end you're playing with Drezzo
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
okay. I think we had Enir for like week. Was he called it? I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
So
the
it was
Russian
like
guy.
yllen and
Yeah.
some other stuff. He was really good. We played with him like week 1, week 2, and we lost to Low Panda. We lost. Oh, was it Low Panda? No, no, no. We lost to the team that had Ixie and Mel and Honey Badger. What were they
Yeah,
called?
like pre bus
Lemmings.
crew bus crew,
Lemmings.
right?
No, no, not Bus Crew. Lemmings. They were
Yeah, Lemmings,
pre,
Lemmings, yeah.
or not pre. They were post DD5 abs, maybe.
I think it's
Or
before
they
that.
before? Were they before DD5
Because
abs?
I think it's pre Arctic Foxes, I think. Because it's
Yeah,
back
yeah. It's
when.
pre Arctic Fox.
Yeah. So it's pre back when Ixie was like a high player and stuff. You play against him
Yeah, yeah.
and you lose.
So yeah, we lost to them week 1, and I thought the season was over. But then we ended up doing pretty well, and we made playoffs, and I think we got top 3. That's what my memory says. I actually
Yeah.
haven't checked, but I think we were top 3.
Yeah.
And I think Low Panda won the season, but they were stacked. They had Ubers, Mr. Epic. It didn't matter. Those guys were beasts. Like they just 1v10. Mookie was also just yeah. If you look back on some of the old Mookie like stream highlights, like my team walks out of spawn into a brass beast heavy and he kills like 4 of us or something. Like he was just. It was really hard because I had 2 like insanely good players and then Mookie just doing his thing and embarrassing us. So it was
What's
hard.
the mental like at that point, right? You're kind of you're coming up and you're thinking, you're I guess in my head you're trying to learn like how to play correct TF2. And then you have to play against this low panda team, which is at the time it's at the zenith of everyone's complaining about how these guys are playing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
Mookie's running around playing like perma mini cent.
They played perma crits as well. I
Yeah.
forgot that. Uber's perma crits, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really think I thought like that. I think a lot of the thinking in TF2 has changed. Like back in the day, people used to think to get better, you just need to play MG because the best soldier at the time was Mike, right? And he was MG Mike. So everyone just said like to get better, just play MG. And it wasn't, I think, until later, until Mike stopped playing and Seven became the best team, people started saying, oh, okay, you actually need to play the game like a team to win. So at that point, I probably just thought, oh, I need to play more MG and then I'll beat Low Panda. Like there was really very little thinking going on back then. There was the team play, like I don't know, maybe old school players will say it's different, but I don't think the team play was particularly skilled back then. It definitely improved through time.
So is that the mindset for sort of climbing the divs? Because you were climbing the divs quite quickly, right? I mean, you won or you placed top
Yeah, I placed in
4
playoffs.
like
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
every season for the first like 3-4 seasons. So like, was it
Yeah.
just
I think I just had good teams. Like to be honest, you could get lucky. Like I met a guy on TF2 Center. Imagine this guy was terrible, but I thought he was good. Right. Then I would join his team. I'd come like last in open, and I might say like, "Oh, this game's impossible," and stop playing. There's definitely some luck. Like joining an open team, we were the best open team that season, pretty much, like of actual open new players. So that was kind of lucky. And then from there, I guess I don't know, like people wanted to win as well. Like it wasn't like, oh, let's mess around and just have fun and play scrims 3 times a week. It was like trying to get better. So I guess we had a good mindset. Yeah, I don't know, just lucky, I think. And yeah, we played MG early, played a lot of DM. I mean, early really carried those first 3 seasons, if I'm honest. Like looking back, he just used to have a 40 bomb on every map. And he really played like the combo scout kind of before even Prem teams were playing combo scout, if that makes sense. Like
yeah?
or just as Prem teams were playing combo scout. Because I remember at the time I thought he was doing it wrong. I was telling him like you need to our pocket soldier Avenue needs more heals. Like stop taking all the heals. And obviously looking back, I was completely wrong. But yeah, so he really like played. He kind of carried me, so that was nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember back in the days because I knew early before he played competitive. He would like
yeah,
chill out and we'd play MG against each other, and I'd tell him like, dude, you gotta play some lobbies. And then after a while, I'd be like,
yeah.
bro, you gotta play on a team. And then,
Uh,
but wow, because he also climbed. I mean, he climbed with you, right? Well, because then he ended up He ended up because you guys you make it to top four of Prem, or top four of High rather, and then you play the Prem qualifiers and you beat out a couple teams. You make it to Prem.
We beat Warha, yeah, and Lippy. I remember Lippy was like, he was really shit talking us. Like, he streamed the games and he was saying, like, I can't believe we're losing to these, blah, 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 how bad we were. And we beat them. We were so happy. Like, that was such a fun qualifier to win. Like, because we didn't think we were good enough to win. We were just like, put our name in the hat. Like, okay, we'll try qualify for Prem. And they had some pretty like known players at the time. Like, I think it was War, Lippy, HP,
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe Kermit, Turbo Monkey, maybe some
yeah,
players like maybe not Kermit, but Turbo Monkey was in there. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Maybe was Turbo not? I don't know. Anyway,
It might have
they
been.
had like they had players that were known, and we were kind of seen as this like you know terrible high team with a bunch of trolls, and then we won. So that was fun.
And you're playing. So you're still playing with the same squad. You're still playing Roma, and then you go into Prem.
Yeah.
And so far, you've been making playoffs every single time. And then these two Prem seasons are what happens to a lot of teams when they first make Prem qualifying from the Premierships playoffs. You don't really win anything for like 2 seasons.
No, no. We won a map. The first season, second season, we didn't win a map. We won one map, and we got 2 golden cap loss in the first season, so we had 5 points. The second season, I think we had 3 points. We had like a was it one? We had 3 or 1, maybe. We had a golden cap loss, or maybe we had like a golden cap win and a golden cap loss. I'm not sure. But yeah, you basically go from being able to out DM teams in high, and then you go to Prem, and people then have better DM than you and play better as a team, and then yeah, it's hard because I mean back then all the Prem players had been playing the game for just simply longer than us, so they were better. Like yeah, they were much better. I mean, like the first season we played, there was like Arctic Foxes, Seven, I think Lego, but it was like a scuffed version of Lego. Maybe were Low Panda in that
Yeah,
season,
Low Panda
probably.
go fourth first time around as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, they were basically just players who had been playing Prem and top Prem for a while. So you quickly realize you're even if you think you're good, you're especially as a team, you're not that good. I remember murking for some teams. I think I murked for Arctic Foxes, and we beat Seven in a scrim where they didn't have Raymond. They had a med murk. I remember that was like highlight of the highlight of the losing season was murking for a team and winning a scrim. Um, but yeah, it's hard when you join low prem for sure.
Were you scrimming the Prem teams when you joined Prem, or did you still continue to sort of scrim
No,
mode?
no, no. There's there's no real point scrimming the div unless you scrim like the best div one teams. I'd say normally the best team in div one is probably better than the worst team in prem, just because the best team in div one is winning every week, so they feel good and they feel confident. Whereas the worst team in prem is losing every scrim, every match. Then they have to play a team the div below them who they're meant to be better than, and they'll just lose. So I think we maybe scrimmed the best team in Div One, and then like the all the Prem teams. I think we didn't even come last the first season. We came seventh because 3 out of 6 came last. They had
Oh yeah.
they swapped they swapped all their roles, so we beat them. I think that was our map win. We beat them on one map, and we lost the other map. So yeah,
You're playing this around this time. You end up going to Gamers Assembly as well. So you actually become a LAN
yeah,
champion quite quickly,
yes,
right? You go with this kind of mix of people not quite in Prem quite yet. I think highlights of that team. You were on that team. It was you and it was Zesty was playing
yeah.
like demo or something, and then it was
No, it
Funds.
was SD Pocket.
Oh
It
yeah,
was SD
Zesty
Pocket.
Pocket, and then Chris was playing Scout with
Crisco,
Funds.
yeah.
Yeah. And then who's the other?
News demo and Honey Badger Med.
Yeah. What
And
was
at the
that?
time, that was I think that was before I made Prem.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think I was high, and I think Funds was also a high. Was Funds Prem at that point? When was Champ GG? Was that
Mm,
after?
I think it's around. I
I
think
think
it's
that was.
very mixed. That
Yeah,
period
anyway,
is.
so like Funds was our best player by a long way, and he was either like just got into Prem or he had just done very well in a high season. And then Zesty was also a high playoffs player, I think.
Yeah.
Honey Badger was like the most experienced. He had made Prem playoffs with DD5 abs. Um, And then yeah, Chris was mid or maybe open at the time, but he was insanely good. But he was a roamer as well, but they just chucked him on scout. And yeah, I mean, honestly, that LAN win is probably the most impressive win of all the wins I've ever had. Just because we were so underdogs. Like the team we were playing up against was a full French stack. I think they were sponsored by Nerd Rage at the time. They came third in Prem the season before, so they were a top three Prem team, and we were a mix of like good high players, a mid player, one ex Prem player, or something like this. So to win, yeah. I mean, obviously they they didn't play very well in the final, but it's probably the craziest win I've ever had. I think.
Did that kind of boost you in any way to kind of keep playing? What's the mental at this point, right? Because you're kind of you're grabbing an element of, I will call it high level competition, or at least like LAN competition,
Yeah.
quite early on, and successful LAN competition, which I imagine can be quite encouraging compared to the.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was encouraging. Probably just gave me a huge ego. I don't really remember. Probably did. I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely just got carried by funds. I remember coming out of that LAN and just thinking like, funds needs to be on the second best prem team and needs to contest seven. Because like he actually just like he 1v6 the other team in so many situations. It was really good. But yeah, I don't know. I guess at the time you're not really thinking about it. You're kind of just at that point it was kind of normal. Like I kept like going upwards, right? Like went open to mid to high to prem. And I think the LAN was in between my high and prem season. But I
Yeah.
think going into prem was then to come back down to reality of you're actually pretty bad. You're going to lose every game every week. So uh, probably just made me overconfident for the prem season, to be honest.
So you
But no, I mean, it was nice.
yeah. It
Can't
seemed like
complain.
from the outside, it seems like the people that went had a very good time. It seems like
Mm.
a very fun
Yeah,
LAN.
the LAN was also fun. It was also my first LAN, so you've never met any of these people before and all that stuff. So that's like but then when you meet people and you realize, oh, they're kind of just like me, they just love playing TF2 and you talk about TF2 and other stuff. It's super fun to go for your first time.
So you're playing in Prem, and you're losing every game for 2 seasons. And then there's a bit of a Nunya kind of there's at this point the Nunya circle jerk has grown a little bit, right, through pugs and stuff, right, and you end up with these two Nunya teams playing in Prem at the same time, and you end up on this Nunya black team, and it's a bit of a step up, but it's the first time that now you're suddenly playing with Chris on roamer instead, and you're playing pocket mid
Yeah,
instead.
yeah, yeah.
What's this transition like from roaming to now pocketing instead? What's the thought
So,
process?
so this I'm happy to put this on public record. This is all Condog's fault. So after the second Prem season, where we got like zero map wins, I think, uh, we go to I-61, and we actually do really good. We finished better than we're meant to. We finished fifth/sixth, I think, like
Yeah.
joint fifth, and we weren't meant to. We were the worst group, the worst team in the invite group. There were two invite groups, I think, that LAN, and we beat Ascent in groups, or we tied with Ascent. Like we traded one map each, and they were meant to be like quite a big name team, so we're really happy. And then what we didn't know was happening is during that LAN, Kondog is going around speaking to Eames, saying like, "I want to make a team with you. You're so much better than my team," and he snakes us. So for the next season, we're thinking, we'll play with a similar roster to the I-61 team, and yeah, he snakes us, and he gets like Eames and Lucas and Ixie and Tobbs. I think Tobbs and some other guys.
Yeah.
And
That's
then my team was like, the leftovers. Like we were the unwanted parts of the Nunya Circle Jack, and ended up doing I think we did. I think we beat them.
yeah.
I think
You
we did
did
better.
better.
I
You
think
placed fifth that season in Prem.
yeah, yeah,
You finished
buddy.
behind the top four of Seven, Lego, Low Panda. There's another team as
Someone
well.
else.
Yeah,
Foxes, maybe. Arctic
probably
Foxes.
maybe something like that.
That was 28. It was Ascent.
Ascent. Yeah.
28 was Ascent. But yeah, that was fun. Like playing Pocket, all of a sudden felt like, oh, I can play the game and not ruin the game. Like I can play Pocket and I know where I should stand and I know where my medic should stand and I can say, like back then, a lot of the game was not getting caught out by Uber advantages, right? Like the game's progressed a lot, but back then, like people struggled to track Ubers really well. Um, So that was one thing I was kind of okay at. Like I would know, oh, they have this ad. Let's stand around here so we don't just die to the Ruber. So that was good. And yeah, I guess we must have beat a few teams. And we came fifth. Oh no, it was Swift. I remember the
Yeah.
season. We almost beat Swift on Badlands. We lost 1-0 or a 2-1 game, and it was 1-1 with like 2 minutes left. And oh yeah, that was terrible. We should have drawn. Oh, we should have won that map. But yeah, it was definitely like a good change to play pocket, and obviously having Chris on Roma, Chris was probably one of the best Romas in Prem that season. I think we have Crafty Dave maybe and
Yeah,
Hems
Crafty on
or
Scout. You had
Crafty and Hems. Must have been Hems, right?
yeah. Hems, Crafty on
Because it
Scout,
was
and then you also had what
we
did
have.
you have? What did my notes say? You had Degu on Med. Uh,
I remember. Yeah, we had Dagon because we didn't have Condor. We
yeah.
had to get a med replacement. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We had some communication problems. Our team with Dagon because I think at the time his English wasn't great, and like, oh god, yeah, I remember that. Did we have Bonnie on Rat Slayer on
Yeah,
demo or no?
yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
So what's
We played we played a scrim. Oh, this will always remind me of Rat Slayer. We played a scrim. The other team had the battalion's backup, and he put 8 stickies on a door, and the guy blew the banner. Like we were talking before, like he's gonna do this. Like I don't know, like just trap the door and kill him. He put 8 stickies down. The guy blew the banner, walked over the stickies, and didn't die. And he just rage quit. I think he just left the game. He just left the server. He was like, "Well, this game's broken. Like 8 stickies doesn't kill one guy." So yeah, it was Badlands, like top lobby or something. The guy just walked through his trap. And he was just so mad. He was just saying like, "It's broken. The game sucks." So yeah,
you played with a lot of these guys for a really long time, right? And not just like actual scrims as well, right? Like that Nunya Sucklejuck ended up kind of running European pugs for a little bit too. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely the pug scene. Yeah, I think pugs helped a lot to like get better because without pugs, you have no access to playing with better players. And the easiest way to learn the game is to play with better players. Because, okay, different top Prem players play in a different way, but there are generally things they agree on, right? So you play a game and someone says, no, 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 don't do that, they are bad. You then realize, oh, okay, I shouldn't do this. And without playing those pugs, there's just, even if they're not trying to teach you, they end up teaching you, right? Because you learn, I don't know, through osmosis or whatever, you just kind of pick it up. So, yeah.
I wanna talk about because this is kind of the last time you end up playing with Yllen. I think we
Oh, I didn't play with Yellen. I didn't play with Yellen was
no,
Jordan. Yellen
this
was
is you play the two first seasons with him, and then you
yeah,
end up going your separate ways. I think we should kind of talk about Yllen for a little bit, right? Because I think
yeah,
Yllen
that's
is
true.
one of the most sorely underrated European pockets. Maybe
Yeah, I think so as
so
well.
so good.
He was extremely good. The only thing he suffered from was he wasn't a leader, and his team needed a leader because Tondok's not really a leader either, and Ratslayer wasn't. And then I was playing Roma and just wouldn't shut up. I was just yapping, like all game from Roma. Um, I think the only thing back then was Yellen didn't talk enough because his gameplay was so good. His gameplay was way better than mine and way better than a lot of the Prem soldiers. But yeah, I don't know. It's not easy to play and talk, I guess, for some players. And I don't. I'm not even sure if that's fair. I think there was other things that went wrong. Like we didn't scrim a lot the second season, just out of we were losing too much, and then no one really wanted to scrim and stuff. So we probably could have been better. But yeah, Yellen kind of got left. Well, not left behind, but you know what I mean. Like he stopped kind of competing, but he was really good.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely undervalued player for sure.
yeah. Because he kept playing a little bit afterwards as well with sort of future
Yeah,
Nunya teams. Ended up getting like fourth place and stuff like that. Super good player, but now Yllen retired mostly. I assume
map creator. He's a map maker.
that's
Sub
true.
base,
Wait, what's the map name again that he made? Subbase.
sub base, sub
Yes.
base.
That's the big little rocket you can stand on. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. It's in a lot of Simon frags. That's because they
Yeah,
play
it
Dota a
is.
lot.
It is.
That group of people.
That mixed group. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So then around this time as well, there's another LAN that happens in Sweden. And you end up playing for Lopander this event. You end up getting second place. There's a couple stories here. I dug up. I can't believe Essentials is posted this, but there's a 10-minute interview where Mookie is
Don't bring
interviewing
that.
you with a single microphone.
Yeah, don't bring that up. Come on, man.
Um,
Yeah, it's a bad interview. I've watched it back. It's not a good interview, but yeah, I went to the wrong town. Basically, was the big drama. Was there was because I wasn't on Low Panda, right? I was on the Choke Busters, and we came fifth. And
yeah.
then I joined Low Panda because Uber's left. I don't know what happened. Uber's just stopped wanting to play the game, and they picked me up, which was good for me because they were a better team. So I ended up playing playoffs with them and to SLAN. But because I was picked up so late, I mean, this isn't really an excuse, but I was picked up late, so I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about the LAN. I'm pretty sure I didn't even read the TFTV post for it. It was my uncle wanted to give me an early Christmas present because it was in November, and he said, "I'll pay for your plane ticket to come." I'm half Danish, so pay for my plane ticket to Denmark, and I take the train from Denmark across. And we both thought it was Linköping, and it clearly wasn't. So I ended up, yeah, in the wrong Swedish town at like midnight. It was November, so it was pretty cold. My phone actually died with like 50% from the cold. So I went into like tried to like enter a hotel thinking, okay, I fucked up. I'm just gonna find somewhere to sleep and I'll show up to land the next day. All the hotels like receptions were closed for some reason. So I ended up going to a taxi rank, asking him if I could charge my phone. I'm like texting funds and some other people like, what's going on? Where am I? Realize I'm like, I don't know, 300 kilometers away or something. But I'd pay for a taxi to drive me to Jönköping, I think it's called. I'm not actually sure.
Mhm.
Which I think the guy said would take like 3 hours normally, but he said like I can get you there in an hour and a half. And I was just like, well, it's midnight. It's probably fine. So he was watching. Wait, is that right? Oh, he was watching Champions League highlights on his phone, and he was on Skype talking to his friends in Swedish, saying, "Look, I'm taking this kid to Jönköping because he went to the wrong place." And then Low Panda were driving from Lidköping to Jönköping. They picked me up in a McDonald's, drove me back. I think we almost hit a deer or reindeer or something on the way back, and we arrived at like 4 a.m. Then we had to play land the next day. So yeah,
What's
that was pretty bad.
what's it like, number one? So you kind of already talked about it a little bit, but the experience of finally you get to play sort of more top level Premiership, but then also immediately not only are you kind of thrown to the wolves in the sense of like, okay, now it's time to play top Prem, but then it's also okay, now go play the most dominant TF2 team of all time, right?
Yeah,
You're immediately
yeah, that
thrown
was
into the
tough.
like you have to play against Banny.
Yeah, I mean that was tough. Like they were just much better, and that Low Panda team was not the strongest Low Panda team. It was still pretty good. We still had like, did Mon play?
Yeah,
I think Mon played that.
yeah,
Yeah, we still had Mon and Funds, but we didn't have Crayon, and this isn't like flame to Martin because I thought Martin was really good back then. I actually wanted him for the Choke Busters, but he got picked up by Low Panda, and then we got Degu. But I thought Crayon's med was like a big part of why that old Low Panda team was so good. I just felt like he was really, I don't know, stable and like hard to kill and stuff. And then yeah, when you're going up against whatever that team was, Bani, Habib, Arik, Paddy, Garbuglio, and someone else, like you can't have weak links. And potentially I was a weak link, Martin was probably a weak link, Hildreth was probably a weak link, and maybe Mookie was a weak link. Like the scouts were good, but you can't really beat them. We did beat them on a map that I think they probably never played before, so that was a fun experience. We beat them in groups. So we topped the group, I think. And then yeah, the grand final didn't go. I think we lost in like 40 minutes or something. Like best of five, we lost in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes or something. Like
yeah.
it's not good.
It's the classic TF2 LAN experience. You get to
Yeah.
experience this sometimes when if you go. It's usually what happens at your first LAN. It's the first LAN for me, I-69. I remember playing my heart out in these open groups, right? And you're playing, and then oh no, I have to play against a CJ mix, and these guys are high usually, but they're off classing. Now my mid team
Yeah.
has to go really. We go all out. It's a best of one, golden cap. We beat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's like okay, now you have to wait 3 hours to play a best of three versus a low panda. It's like
Yeah.
so you sit there, you wait 3 hours. It's 11. It's 11 at night, and then Hildreth comes up and he's like, "What's your bans?" And we're like, "Dude, can we just play 3 maps?"
You can just play. Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, sure. We'll play like Gully Wash and this, and we'll just pick 2 maps. It's fine." And then we go sit down, And you play Gully Wash against Mr. Epic, who's perma sniping and just couldn't play the game.
Yeah, you lose in like 10 minutes. Yeah, they also just have Ubers on Gully.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
But yeah, I mean, I think the LAN experience, part of the LAN experience is it's one of the rare opportunities that you get as an up and coming player to play against the top teams, right? Just because of the amount of teams in the tournament, you will just get those I guess character building moments of getting absolutely rolled. And
Yeah.
what would you say, like, if you're when you did you do you like the LAN environment more than online? What would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, it's way more fun.
Yeah.
Like LAN is just like I don't know. LAN is like real TF2, and then okay, in my opinion, LAN is like real TF2, and then online is like what you do because you have to do it in between LANs. Kind of is how I've seen it, and I think is how I mean, at least back in the day, especially that's what everyone used to say as well. Like those old iSeries LANs where there's some quote from I think Faffy Cool or something where he says, "I learned more in a weekend than I did in 3 seasons playing Prem." You know, like, but I think that was for I-55 or something. So I think LAN just it's uh it's just it's much more fair games. I mean, not that many people have internet issues nowadays, but back then, it used to be a thing. Also, there used to be more Eastern teams, so teams that play on high ping. Shadowburn has 60 hertz. What's he going to be like on 144 hertz? All this stuff. So yeah, I feel like the LANs are more fun and more competitive, and there's more pressure at LAN than there is on LAN. I'll tell you that for free. So
I think I think the traditional thing that we used to say all the time is that now that we're on LAN, because of the ping reduction, the soldier experience is way better. Is that still real? Is that still a thing
yeah,
that you experience? Do you?
yeah. I mean, Soldier on LAN's better because I don't know. It feels the game just feels also the game feels more balanced on LAN,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not like I play on crazy ping. I play on like 25 ping, but you even from 25 ping to 5 ping, you can feel a big difference, and you win more duels with scouts, and you can be more cocky in your positioning, and you can do all these things that you can kind of do online, but not to the same extent. Like certain fights change on LAN, like certain areas people feel comfortable fighting in is like a much yeah, it's just easier for soldier, and I think the game is more balanced on LAN. Like demo gets a buff as well, I think. So yeah.
Do you think how much of the difference between the soldier scout dynamic is also just from both sides of the equation being used to it being way more scout favored, and then you arrive at a LAN and suddenly you have this scout player that suddenly is dealing with 5 ping soldiers. Does it?
Yeah, I think there's also a thing like hit scan players really like their home setup when they go to LAN. Like if they're 2% off, it makes a pretty big difference. Whereas I think a lot of soldier players are like, rock up, give me any mouse pad, give me any mouse, and I'll play. Like I don't know, you saw Boot set up at Poland. Like that guy would probably play without a mouse pad if he had to and still be good. So I think like also the environment of the environment of LAN is easier for soldier. Like maybe you don't have as much space, maybe you're not as comfortable. It's probably easier to play soldier
Yeah.
than play scout.
Something I make fun of when every time Tomas shows up to a LAN, he spends the first day getting his setup down.
Yeah, he
It's
does.
insane. The amount
You
of stuff he
see,
has to
even
do.
even with Thomas, he has like a special he has like a slanted setting. So like if he moves like diagonally, it's like horizontal on the screen and stuff like this. So
So then
scout players,
we're back now, season 30. And this time around, this is where you actually start joining like a relatively competitive top tier team. You joined SWIFT. Um,
yeah,
and you're playing this. So now you're back with Condog, and you're still playing with Chris, but you've got Funds now back with you, and then
yeah,
you're playing Smear on demo, but then you're playing with Samzy on Scout. And I'm very
yeah,
curious because you end up taking this lineup to land with you as well to I-63. I remember correctly. Yeah,
yeah.
I-63
We
where
do.
you got third. What's the dynamic between because you're obviously already kind of stepping into the leader role, right? And I wonder like just stepping into this leader role, what's the dynamic then with Samzy? Because Samzy was also that guy back then, right? He was kind of
I mean, on that team, Samsey wasn't. Samsey was chilling, playing flank scout. Yeah, I think the real clash was me and Smear. I think Smear was actually the like designated main cooler, but I would just be like, I don't agree with that. Don't do this. Don't do that. So the team dynamic was good. But yeah, so after SweLAN, I kind of felt like even though we lost badly, I kind of felt like okay, I still played pretty well on some maps, and I didn't feel like the games were completely unlosable. Like I could look at the game and be like, well, yeah, we lost, but if we change this and that and this, like we could probably play the game. And beating them on a map, even if it was a map they never played, still made me feel like, okay, it's not like I don't know, just some DM diff or whatever you want to think, like mechanical diff. So I felt like I was getting better and better and better at that point, and I had to take a break because I went to school in Denmark for a while. So I then took a season off and I had to come back and I played like half of season 30 on some like honestly like toaster laptop. Like I played on like 4x3 60 FPS or something, 60 hertz from my room in like a school dorm on Wi-Fi. And I came home like week 6, week 7 or something. I was pretty bad, I'll be honest. Like having that break, I got worse, I'd say, until I got home. I'd say I think I was better before. I think I was better at SweLAN than I was at I-63, if that makes sense. Like I think I actually got worse. And then the season after I-63, I think is when I started to improve again. So yeah,
Okay.
there was some like whatever you want to call that logistical stuff that
Yeah.
had to come up, but
I
I,
think
I was I think I was a better. How do you say this? I think I saw the game better, if that makes sense. I was more like relaxed in how I saw the game, and like that's fine if this happens. That just means like I don't know, they're stood in this place and you can change stuff. But my actual mechanics were worse, I think, for a while.
how did you go about getting the mechanics back then? Was that just through playing and playing and playing
It's
and
just D-Rust. I think it's just D-Rust. I also had some like bad situation at I-63 where like my mouse feet came off like literally the night before we were leaving. Like that never happened to me before. We're like playing and I could just feel like couldn't move my mouse left. We were playing. I remember it was a granary scrim against Seven, and my mouse feet just came off. I didn't even know that was possible. Like I'd never seen that before. So I played I-63 with sellotape. Like I sellotaped my mouse foot down, which was obviously a really bad idea. Even at the LAN, I was like asking people, "Does anyone have a spare ZA12?" And Scruff had one, and he lent it to me, and I used it to like warm up for 5 minutes on MGE. But it was a brand new mouse, so the feet were really quick. I was like, oh, I can't use this; it's too quick for me. Which, looking back at now, I was like, just use that for 10 minutes and you'll get used to it. So that wasn't the smartest idea to play with sellotape. I would say that was probably like the worst round performance like as a team I played on had because like all the other lands I played we probably finished better than expected or as expected. And I'd say that one, even though we came third, like we were third, but we were well off the competition of first and second. Like we lost lower bracket final to Seven, like 5-0, 5-1, and we were meant to like go close with them. Um, so yeah, I mean it's kind of team dynamics. I think it's probably my fault or like a combination of mine and Smear's fault for like we should have decided who was the main cooler and like given them total control of the team. But instead we had this thing where it was like half Smear, half me, and I would just counter call everything he said, so that was not good. Um, but yeah, you thought it'd be Samsy, but no, Sam was actually pretty relaxed in that team. Like he was just playing flank scout, and honestly, he was pretty good back then. But then he stopped after that. So
are there any sort of takeaways from those kind of early seasons where you end up playing with with some people that would eventually go on to do a lot of stuff, and we're going to continue going further with this in a second as well. 'Cause season 31, but I wonder like, are there any learnings as either like, I think mostly in regards to like being a team leader from these kind of teams, right? Like, what are you taking
yeah, yeah,
moving forwards?
yeah. I came out of that LAN and I said, I either stop playing the game or I make my own team and I lead it. And I was pretty. Oh wait, was it that LAN or maybe it was the next season? Anyway, it was a combination of that LAN and the next season where I realized like the game is a team game. Like I really felt like back then no one helped each other. It was like 6 individual players like just doing stuff on the map, and yeah, I remember being not mad but like just like confused why no one wanted to help each other. Like no one would do like anything sacrificial. It was like oh, this guy is taking a fight here, just let him take the 1v1, or like, oh, in this push, I need someone to do this to make space for me, and no one wanted to do it. So that's kind of what it taught me. I was like, okay, you're never like the illusion of just play MG until your mic kind of wore off at that point. I was like, it doesn't matter how good your aim is if you're not helping each other, you're going to lose to anyone. And I think the experience of playing against Froyo and Seven and that stuff kind of made you realize, like, oh, they actually they shoot a sticky at a guy so he's weak, and then they bomb him. That's quite clever. Like people didn't do that before. So or like the lower level teams didn't. The top teams obviously were, but you know.
We touched upon this briefly, but then you go from LAN, you go on to season 31 after LAN. You end up on Ora Elektro, which is then you and a clash between another leader, right, of Eames.
Yeah, that was another clash. That was Eames, and I was kind of the scapegoat in that team. I think. Yeah. So basically, after that LAN, I think like again, Condog then was like, oh, I'm gonna ditch because I was then gonna make a team with Condog for the next season. And Condog ditched me and joined AMS. Condog joined Ascent, so that was like the Sil Drac. I can't remember the rest of the players. Condog, Credu, AMS, all those guys. So he joined them, and I had no team. So I was either going to take the season off or just I don't know what I was going to do. And Eames offered me a spot, and I guess I loved the game so much. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to play. Let's go. I'll play Pocket, and it was bad. It was not a good time. I'm pretty sure after that season, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to stop playing. Like it was not good. Um, I don't even know what the problems were. Like it was a long time ago, but we didn't gel as a team, and probably again, me and Eames had different ideas on how to play the game. And it was after that season I went, okay, I need to make my own team. I mean, we didn't do that bad. We came like fifth. I think we missed playoffs by like a few points, and it was because we threw a map, and there was like some huge discussion about why we threw a map or whatever. But yeah.
So then you make your own team. And,
Yeah.
and in a way, you're quite successful with this, right? Like, I mean, so the very early, at the time, SWIFT, which is sort of slowly morphed into what we now consider Witness, right? At the time, SWIFT had a bunch of. There aren't really any recurring characters, really, besides you, for a lot of that are left anymore, right? But at the time,
yeah,
just have to pull up the roster because we're not. But it starts off with kind of the very first iterations of this is Seeds on Med, and then you got then you got Lucas on demo. This is the first Lucas demo season, and then you've got Gink, bring in Gink, legend.
yeah.
and then you got Scruff and Mr. Epic on Scouts. Mr. Epic.
He played like 2 weeks.
Yes.
He was good. He was really good. He just didn't communicate ever. And I think he left. There's no way I would have cut him because I thought he was so good. So I think he must have left. But actually, I didn't even want Lucas on this team. The funny story is, I really wanted Domo, but Domo couldn't go to Copenhagen 2019 because he had a family holiday planned. So we needed a demo. Lucas was begging me for a trial, and I was just saying like, no. Actually, Samsey was on the team initially, so we had Samsey and Gruff, and then Samsey left for I don't know real life issues, and then Mr. Epic joined. So in the beginning, I was telling Lucas, speak to Samsey. Like, I'm not going to troll you. Just speak to Samsey. And eventually, we trolled him, and we were like, "Oh, this kid's good." So yeah, we ended up with Lucas. Mr. Epic left, and we got Klassy, who was our sub. And why was Class? Oh no, when Class used to merc for us, and he would merc Combo Scout. And there's some story of Class like running out of Sunshine Shutter on last, like into second, like calling for an Uber, and everyone's just laughing at him or something. I don't know, some old team story. But yeah, that team was. I guess when you look back, there's no one really that I still play with at this point. I mean, Domo would have been if I picked him up, but he obviously didn't join.
But this was a good squad, right? Like you started taking it, like really sort of contesting the top tier prem. What was the mindset for that team like? Because now you're leading it, right? So do you still remember kind of the outline of like were there any sort of guiding principles behind like how you guys wanted to play?
Yeah, it was what I said earlier. I just wanted to help each other in situations like do things to make the game easier for your teammates, and that was it. And then we took it too far. We got to a point where we were like chain feeding to help each other. But in the beginning, it was pretty good. But yeah, I think it was just like help each other. And then what else did we do? I mean, we also played with seeds. Seeds never died back then. Like our mid would die once, twice a map, and that was when we would get wiped on mid. So the games were pretty easy, to be honest, because we always had either advantage or even. Like we were never on disad, so the games were quite easy. And I think our style like just matched up good against Seven for some reason. We could never beat Ascent. We could never beat the AMS Condog Silenter's team. Like I think they would just out DM us. Like they would embarrass us. Like yeah, I remember like I couldn't fight Sil. Like I couldn't kill him. Like, he was too good. Like for some reason, playing against Seven, I felt very comfortable. But then playing against that Ascent team, like AMS would just two shot you, and Sil would be like jumping on and off some weird prop on the map and all this stuff. Um, so we can never beat them. But we actually had good. I say a good record. We had like a surprisingly better than average record against Seven. Like we beat them on a few maps. I think we beat them in group stage at Copenhagen on Gully. But yeah, we could just never beat the Condog team. We lost. I think we lost some in the playoffs before the LAN. Is that right? We lost some like 5-5 Gully Wash third map Golden Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Whew. That was a crazy game. We were down 5-3. We're like, I don't know, sometimes ago we tie it to 5-5. We win the Golden Cap mid, we choke the last push, and we get coast to coast and lose. Yeah. That could have been our ticket to the first Prem final, but
Yeah.
no, I didn't have to.
I remember one thing that stands out to me very distinctly, right? Is I remember because I remember going to Copenhagen, and I wasn't yet involved with the broadcast or anything. I was just kind of walking around, and I remember like speaking to some of the people on the TFTV analyst desk, right? And I remember hearing like because you played a best of 3 against Ascent. I don't remember if it went to a map 3. I think it did. I think you won the first.
We won
map
map 1. We won map 1 and we lost the other 2. Yeah.
I remember you getting up after the game and you going like, so cringe, or something like that. No, you got.
I don't even remember the map we won. What did we win?
Either, but you won a map.
And we lost
the second.
We lost Snake. We lost Snake.
You
I
lost
definitely remember
Badlands,
losing
I think, as well.
Yeah, Badlands. We couldn't play Badlands. That was our Achilles heel. We just couldn't play that map.
I remember standing behind you. You lose Badlands. You get up. You look at me. You go, "Yikes!" And then that's what you said, and you left.
Yeah.
But I remember standing around some conversations after. I had a conversation with Peter, and he's like, "Oh, it's nice that we get the final that everyone wanted." But then I hear in the corner, I sort of see Kaidus is standing and talking to a couple other people. I think it's like Nation Demul, people like that who usually, they're sitting talking a lot of smack, never playing the game, And then Kaidus is like, "Yeah, I actually much rather play Ascent than SWIFT." Like even from
we had a good match. Well, I remember after we beat them on map 1, Kaidus was speaking to AMS in between map 1 and map 2. Not anything like giving him tips or anything, but just like I saw him like talking to him, and I was thinking, shit, like. Yeah, they don't want to play us, but we just couldn't get it done. I don't remember the map we won. We won Granary or something? I'm not sure. But yeah, for some reason we wouldn't have won that final, by the way. Like, I'm not trying to imply that at all. Like, that 17 was one of the best. Maybe the I-65 one's better. But yeah, Tiger was smoking fools at
I think for my money,
Copenhagen.
I think it's the best 7 probably ever. It's so good.
I think 65 is better.
What was the difference in the roster? They get Sil, and then
they get Sil, and they put Stark on Scout.
Wasn't that the
instead of Tiger?
Yeah, but wasn't that the Stark with like came into the LAN playing medic or something like that? Was that not the?
No, that was the one before. 65 Stark was like Scout.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like a toss up between Stark and Tiger, right?
Yeah.
Stark's a very different player.
Stark is also like such a good soldier as well, on top of the best scout ever. Basically, he's also like.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best soldiers ever. What can you do?
I had this conversation with AMS. I remember at Copenhagen, we were talking about it. We're like, dude, it's so unfair, man. Like, why is he the GOAT at 2 classes? It's so it's fucked up.
Yeah, he just won. He was just a winner. He would just make winning plays, like. Yeah. I mean, that team was pretty good. Let's say that.
What was it like playing against this era of 7? We were sitting around calling it the best, and you got to play against it a lot, right? And directly compete. I-65 ended up getting 2nd place.
No, third.
You got third, yeah. You got third because you beat Ascent.
Because seven lost upper bracket. Some like
Oh,
still that upper bracket loss in I-65 might be one of the worst upper bracket loss I've ever seen in my life. Like, if you go back and watch it, they lose a 6v4 holding Sunshine last with like 1 minute left. They have like pyro, gun, everything, even Ubers. Like, I think bot mode went like 2-20 that map. Like, if you find the log, like, I have no idea how they lost that upper bracket. Which obviously meant we had to play them lower bracket final. And even though we lost upper bracket to Ascent NA, there was 2 golden cap maps, and we definitely should have won at least one of them, probably both. So we felt like, oh, if we play Ascent NA in lower bracket, we're going to play on the stage. And then we have to play 7 lower bracket, and obviously that didn't happen. But that's skipping a little bit. I don't know, is that skipping a bit or?
I don't think so. I mean, the next Prem season was characterized by Ascent kind of changing their soldiers a little bit. They went from having Sildrak to kind of is the weird like Polygon Zebasai.
Oh yeah.
Instead, right?
Oh no, there's a story in there. If you really want to go into the lore, we won like every map that season. We beat 7 in both maps that season. We won 2 horrible golden caps. So we were the top seeded team coming into last game of the season, and we won map 1 against Ascent, and map 2 was Badlands, and we lost Badlands to like I don't know Zebo and all these guys, and we felt like we were much better. But that meant we came second overall because 7 won 6-0, and we only beat them 4-2. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
the maths worked out that they were top seed, even though we 2-0'd them in the season. And in the playoffs, we'd also made a roster change. So Thomas comes in instead of Scruff. And Thomas plays from holiday. Like Thomas is, I don't know, he was in like the south of France skiing or something. He's playing on a laptop. And he will say he played well, but he did not play well. He will say, like, my aim was fine, I just couldn't move. But yeah, it was bad. And I also played from Ombrak's house. I was in France at the time. I played from Ombrak's house, and I use right click to duck, to crouch, and it didn't work. Like right click just didn't work on his computer. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it was some like bind with mumble where right click didn't work. So I had to play with like some different settings, and yeah, we lost. So a lot of copium there, we lost. But after losing, I remember saying to Ombrak, like, we're gonna smash these guys at LAN. There's no way we lose to them when we're like on our setups. And we didn't smash them, but we did beat them at LAN. So at least that happened.
Was it gratifying to beat them? Because obviously you're kind of in your head they're kind of ruining your seasons and your lands and stuff. Like finally getting that win against them.
And we lost like 4 tournaments in a row to them or something.
Yeah.
Like coming third when we should come second or something like this. I mean, not saying we should come second. Like, I think the old team, when it was like Seal, Drac, and all those guys, like, we probably weren't going to beat them. They were just too. They were too experienced, and we were too inexperienced, and they were also better. So, even though we would take them close, like when it comes down to it, in like the clutch moments, they would win. But then when they lost Seal and all these guys, it was like, oh, okay, we can beat them now. So losing that playoff, like online playoff game, it felt pretty bad because we knew we were better, but we just had 2 guys not at home because it was like summer holidays, and there was something with the scheduling, like we weren't allowed to push the grand final back because that was our argument, like, oh, can't we just wait till we're home and then play? Because I think I was home like the next week and Thomas was home the next week, and they said no, you can't do that. Anyway, when Ascent beat us, then 7 say, oh, we can't play until next week. So we could have delayed it, but the admins like let 7 do it, but didn't let us do it. So that wasn't cool. But yeah, there's more salt from me. But yeah, to then beat them at LAN, it's like, yeah, finally. Like, I think Connor was messaging people in the game, like on Steam. He was like, I think Thomas had to like block him or remove him or something. Like he was typing to people like, I'm in your head, I'm in your head. But to beat them was, yeah.
I think we have to skip back a little bit because I think there's one of the most legendary LAN moments I've ever seen in my entire life. Was at I-61. We ended up in this situation where it was the nunya.
Oh yeah,
Nunya team on one side and the Weeb team on the other. There's a lot of overlap in the 2 like friend groups. It's kind of like one big friend group, and we ended up, the legendary Nunya versus Weeb tunnel tactics game, where at some point,
we could hear each other. We could hear each other through our mics. So like, yeah, we could just hear everything. You could hear like Gink say, "Oh, I'm gonna snipe," or "I'm gonna play spy."
You have that clip on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Where you bomb in and you kill Gink and he like screams.
Yeah.
On the other side, you're sitting like opposite ends as well. You could just hear it.
Yeah.
But there's one point where I think it was I don't remember which team, but one team lost track of Uber, and the solution was just look behind. No, because someone just turned
Someone
around and looked
cheated.
at Condog's monitor.
Someone looked at Condor's screen. It was one of them. It wasn't one of us.
No.
Someone cheated. We also had a similar problem at SweLAN where Fun said he could hear everything Arik was saying or something. And like Fun's knew he was on spy, but he didn't tell anyone. And then our med got dropped by a backstab, and he said like, "I didn't tell anyone because it would have been cheating." And we were like, "Fucking man, like, what are you doing?" But yeah, I-61. I don't know who it was. Someone turned and looked and went, "Oh, he's got Uber," like something like this. So
Yeah.
that's pretty funny. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not funny, it's cheating, but back in the day, like some things would happen.
Yeah. Especially, I think also for the vibes, because neither of these teams were expecting to like finish in the top
Yeah,
four or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Like it was a very not serious game in a lot of ways. It was great
Yeah.
to spectate.
Oh, we wanted to win. It
Yeah.
was serious. We wanted to win, but it was also like you're playing against your friends and like
Yeah.
laughing at them and stuff. So,
It was good. So then you go to I-65, you come third, you lose to 7, you lose
yeah.
to the Americans as well.
We took a map though. We took a map off 7 in lower bracket.
What was playing against the 7 like? I really wanna ask you about this. What made them so hard to beat? Was it just Stark being what did it feel like playing with them?
I don't know. I think honestly we had a good matchup. We just had a bad pick ban on the third map because we probably should have won the first 2 maps. We won Gully. We abused banners. Like they didn't ever use banners, and we abused banners on Gully, and we won. Um, and then process, we were winning. There's all kinds of stuff that happened, but anyway, Sil makes some big plays, and we end up losing. And it goes to Granary, and they were way better than us on Granary. They 5-0'd us in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or something. I didn't feel like it was. It was just because our matchup was good. Like they were our scrim partner as well, so we knew a lot of what they were going to do. So it was an easy matchup. Well, not easy, but it was like manageable. We would lose, but we could make it close, kind of thing. But they were just really. I mean, they were really solid. Stark was insanely good. Captain, they basically just had the best players and the best team play. So I don't know what you can really say. Like, Sil was the best roamer by a long way. Captain was the best poppy by a long way. Stark was the best flank scout. Falash was like hitting his peak at that point. Like Falash was so like in the beginning, I think there was some like I don't know what you want to call it. Like people thought Falash got the place on 7 because he was friends with Kaidus and he wasn't actually good. Through the seasons, Falash became like insanely good. Like Winger, I remember he used to abuse Winger so bad. He used to embarrass me at like choke points, like gully choke Winger jumping over my rockets. And Raymond was really, really good. Kaidus obviously like way sets the team up the way he plays. And it was 10-minute timer. People don't ever talk about this, but 10-minute timer is easy to win when you're already 2-0 up. 2-0 up on 10-minute timer, you're chilling. 10 minutes left on the map, I am not going to do anything. Go push mid. 10 minutes left. So I think they were always really good. They never really went down on maps. They were always 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 2-1 up, and they were good at game management, and they would always win.
So you play these guys, you end up losing. You get third place at the end at the LAN, and then following up, you enter a season of Prem where both Ascent are gone and also 7 are gone. So all of your main rivals are gone, and you just kind of stormed the season, and you get your first Prem victory. Was it weird to win with all of your major competition gone? Because that was kind of from the outside what it looked like, right?
Of course it's weird when you're like a Prem winner, but you're like, well, nothing changed. I just beat the guys I used to beat. Like it's like some. I don't know. It was weird. Like we were obviously happy to win and get across the line, but at the end of the day, we beat like Ora in the final. So I think one of the maps was 5-0. Like it wasn't some crazy hype thing like, oh, we've been working on this for 2 years, we finally beat 7. No, it wasn't that. It was like we should win, let's not choke and let's win. And we did it. But yeah, it was weird. It was like everyone really good just kind of stopped playing for that period. But then BTS happened and they all came back for about 2 weeks or something. And then that event got cancelled. We were actually going to go with, I can't remember, Stark and someone. Because Domo. Domo was going to play Med and Stark was going to play Roma for us or something. And then the event got like nuked, obviously. But yeah, it was definitely weird to play. I think we did lose a map that season. We lost a map to Eames. We lost some process game. We actually had a massive I don't know what you want to call that, team discussion, team argument about that game because we didn't take any risk. And then we were like talking about like how you can't win a game without taking risk and all this stuff. And that eventually led to some roster changes in the future.
Yeah, I want to talk about this iteration of the squad kind of specifically with and without seeds, because I think they're sort of the main people that stand out in this sort of era of Swift descent. You know, everyone's kind of been under every
Faint. We were also faint at one point.
Also faint. Jesus Christ. Where you kind of look at the main star players, where it's like at this point, Thomas hasn't come into the limelight yet, and you kind of, at least in the public perception, right? No one's really looking at him. But everyone is looking at Lucas and going, "This guy is."
Yeah, Lucas is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Lucas was like actually he was by far the best player in Europe. He was insane. I still think he is really good. Like he's playing again now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was insane. He was mechanically so much better than all the other demos. Like insanely good. His trap game was good. His GM game was good. The only thing he probably lacked was like concentration and stalemates. Like he would just stop thinking. But apart from that, he was just like so much better than everyone, and I think like deservedly like crowned like the best player in Europe, and he really was, and he won like all the awards and everything. I think he deserved it. He was insanely good. Yeah.
So I remember the dynamic being described as he just shoots people, and then you and Thomas tell him how to play the game, right? Or like tell him where to go.
I mean,
is that real?
It's a little bit unfair, but it's kind of true. Like, yeah, we told Lucas for like 5 years, like on Gully Wash second, sticky big door, and he would like rock up to Gully second and sticky choke, and then we'd shout at him. But yeah, no, I think the joke back in the day was me and Gink would like fall through mud so Lucas can fly first class, stuff like this. Like me and Gink would just bomb into 2 scouts so Lucas can have some space on mid. Um, but I mean, it worked, right? He deserved the space. Like he would just do so much. But yeah.
So what was Thomas like then at this point, right? Because he's not yet stepped into. I think the season where he really stepped into the role of everyone just unanimously agreeing that this guy's the best player in Europe is when he carried Mac to a Prem victory.
Yeah.
But kind of before then, what was it like playing with a kind of more kind of prototypical Thomas? Like what was it like working with him at the beginning?
He was so when we picked him up, we had the choice between him and Credu, and it was like a risk to pick up Thomas because I mean I'll be honest, I didn't know really who he was. I played some pugs with him, but I think he played like high, and I think when I saw him play, he was playing Roma and stuff like this. Like he wasn't even like fully a scout main. He could play all the classes. And we trolled him and Credu, and we trolled Credu, and Credu would have like 40 kills, but the map was hard. Like we would win 2-1, but Credu would go 40 and 10. And then we trolled Thomas, and stats were still good, but we would win 5-0, and the game was, chill and easy. And I think eventually the team just went like, yeah, okay, we should pick up Thomas, even though at the time that was like, I don't think people realized that was like a ridiculous decision. That was like, this big name brand. Credu was like at that time, Credu was like hot shit in Europe, like best sniper in Europe, Kovacs, all this stuff. Credu was kind of like seen as probably one of the best scouts, but we went with Toe, and obviously ended up being a very good decision. What was he like? He was. It's hard to remember. I think he was just listening a lot, taking what people had to say in a lot. Probably got blamed for things that weren't his fault. Like I think when you're the new player on the team, like something goes wrong and someone just goes, "Oh, what are you doing?" But yeah, he was also really good when he joined. He just wasn't the standout player he was, if that makes sense. But he did his job well. Like he was a very good. People say role player. I mean, everyone's a role player. You just play your role. That's how the game works. But he was a very good role player. Yeah.
Because the dynamic now is kind of you and Thomas have sort of you're kind of co-owners of the team in a sense, right? Like you kind of.
No, I'd say it's Toe. I don't think it's my team anymore. I've had to sell my stocks. It's gone. It's Toe's team. But I mean, that's good. The way he plays the game is really good, so I don't mind. But yeah, there was a period back then where it was like co-ownership, I'd say, but definitely not anymore.
Okay, because I want to talk a little bit about klassy as well. I feel like we kind of have to mention.
Yeah, that's true. We shouldn't skip over class. Yeah.
So what was the dynamic there? Because klassy, where Thomas has kind of ended up being a bit more of a loud player, klassy to me sort of was very kind of just super good at the role almost, right?
Yeah, I think especially at that time, like I-65 class was really good. He also used to play on like really low percent heals. Like he was like really flank scout. Like 125 doesn't care if we call go in, he's in. You know, like he was playing on like 5, 6, 7% heals most maps, which don't really think anyone does anymore. Like some maps it happens just because there's a long stalemate and the flank scout's not getting healed, but he really was like that because Lucas was pretty heal greedy. I was pretty heal greedy. And I don't even think Toe was that heal greedy back then, but you know, like we'd have like 2, 3 players on 25% plus. So class just had nothing to work with. And he was really, really good. I think the only thing he suffered from was taking breaks from the game. I think if he kept playing, he could have been super dominant, but he took like season off, 2 seasons off, a year off, come back and play. And it's hard to do that when you're playing a hit scan class. So but like season 33, 34, 35, he was really good.
What was the relationship with Gink like compared to sort of you played with a bunch of other really good soldiers? What was the dynamic between you and Gink?
I think we just played off each other really well. I think that was one of the reasons the team was good, was we were really in sync. I don't even think we realized it, the two of us, to be honest. We would kind of just do our thing. But when we would speak to teams like at I-65 and stuff, they would tell us like, "Oh yeah, you guys were like, surprisingly in sync. Like we had no idea like all this stuff." So I don't know. We just kind of clicked and worked well, and he was also like a playmaker. Like I think the way I play the game, like I kind of just do my job. Like I'm not gonna do anything flashy or fancy. So I kind of need someone to be like, oh, I'm gonna play sniper and drop the med. Like I need a roamer like that. So yeah, we just clicked and we worked really well. I mean, I played with him. Even going back, like he was on some old Nunya rosters on Scout for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I'd known him for a long time, and yeah, I don't know, it just works really well. Like he is also just insanely good. Like he read the game very well. Like one of the grand finals we win, I think he has like 400 DPM against Ora or someone. Like he was really good. He could have been if he didn't stop playing. And did he leave for Valorant? What did he leave
I
for in
think
the
he
end? I don't know if it was Valorant. If he kept playing, he would have been like a top player.
he was coaching Valorant for a while. He was coaching Unicorns of Blood.
Yeah. He was coaching. He was playing in the beginning, I think,
Yeah,
and then he moved into coaching. Yeah.
super good. And then kind of slowly over time, right, we get COVID, and so LANs kind of stop happening, and you guys kind of stop playing as regularly. What was it like for you, right? Because you've already mentioned this already that you much prefer the LAN gameplay to the online stuff, and now we're kind of in a situation where there's seemingly no LAN stuff for a very long time. What was that like for you guys as a group who were kind of there and I assume in existence to win LANs?
Yeah. Yeah, because at that point we still hadn't won anything. Yeah, we won like quite a few Prem season at that point, but we hadn't won any lands, and we're all kind of just like hoping some land's not going to get cancelled. Like we're playing all Copenhagen's announced and it gets cancelled, and then we're kind of just hoping that some event comes up and COVID ends. But yeah, really, that was 2 years. We would play like so we played 34, 35, then we didn't play 36 because COVID hit and I think I was away. Then we come back, we play 37, we don't play 38, we play 39, we don't play 40, we play 41. So it's like we're kind of just like we'll play if it suits us, and if people are busy, then we just take the season off because, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure actually after season 35, I told myself like I'm done. Like that's it. Like like I won 2 seasons. What more do I want? Like I'm done. But then obviously your brain's going, play a LAN, some other stuff. So you kind of get taken back in. But yeah, it's a weird time. It's a shame. I think it would have been really fun to play another LAN with like Gink and Class and that roster, like Gink, Class, Lucas, Toe, Seeds, or Domo. Um, but I think if 7 of the 7 weren't playing, we probably would have won quite a few LANs during COVID, at least the European ones. And it would have been really good to get experience playing versus other continents as well. Because I don't know, I-65, I really don't think we were that far off the pace. Like 7 won the final 3-0, and we took a map off them. We went very close with a NA. Like I think on a different day we could have been top 2. Maybe on a very, very lucky day you could have won the event. Probably not, but you know what I mean. So if we got more experience playing LANs and stuff, it would have been really good. But yeah, COVID happened, and that for Europe that took 3 years out of LANs. Like in NA they had a lot more, but in Europe you had no LAN until 2023, I think. 2022?
2022. No, 2022.
Late 2022, yeah.
Yeah.
But the last LAN before that was late 2019. So you had 3 years no LANs of just playing these random cups, like what were they even called? Lockdown Cup or something,
Yeah,
and
the lockdown throwdown.
Lockdown Throwdown. We played like a couple of these. I think we won. Did we win? Well,
You
there was
had
one cup when Toe went to Roma, we lost a cup. But when we were like main classing, I think we won all the cups.
you had a cup where you played against the Charlie team with Nubby like hard carrying them, where you
Oh yeah, that was a mix. We won a mix cup. That was
yeah
fun. That was like me, Condog, Lucas on scout, Caper on scout, Toe on Roma. Who was a demo? Domo? Probably Domo demo,
probably
me,
Domo.
Pocket. That was fun. Yeah, we won a mix. We also won another mix. We won a mix with like French team, like me, Toe, and then four Frenchies. And we beat, what were they called? Nerd Rage or whatever the TF2 Easy team was called,
Yeah,
Josh Kunu team. We beat them in
probably
a final. That was really fun because we were a mix and we weren't playing the season. So they were calling us like Dodgers and then we beat them with a mix. So that was always like a fun win. I think for Toe, I think that's one of his like favorite wins. And for me as well. Like, yeah, that was a good one.
because I remember throughout this time you got to kind of play with some of the old seven players you used to lose to, right? Like you had
Yeah, it's like
Captain jumping in and out of the roster. You played. Did you play a whole season with Tiger as well?
whole season with Captain and Tiger, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like to get to play with these guys after they've kind of kicked your ass for a while
What
now?
dumped on me for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's fun, right? Like just from like a standpoint of loving the game, like to play with the, in my opinion, the best pocket of all time, and be like, yeah, go on Roma, I'm playing pocket. It's fun. Like this guy is so good. It's a shame like he doesn't still play. I think I don't know if maybe there was money in the game or something. Maybe he would play it just because if you're gonna win a few grand every few months, you would probably keep playing. I mean, I was very lucky. I got to play like every soldier I looked up to when I first started playing with. I got to play with. So like Captain, Phil, Ubers, all of them I got to play with, and yeah, super fun. Obviously playing with Tiger as well. Like seeing what Tiger did at I-63, and then having the chance to play with him is like that guy's insane. Like he cannot touch the game. He comes back. He's just a beast. So it's just fun. And yeah, it's lucky.
Were there takeaways from playing on a team with these guys? Did you take any learnings away while they were there?
From Captain, yeah, some stuff. Mostly about not feeding. I think I used to feed a bit too much. Also, that season there was no med speed, so we weren't really playing TF2. We were playing some very weird game where you'd have full ad, but it would take like a full minute to push a point just because you have to do things slowly and stuff. So yeah, that was a weird season. But yeah, I took something from Captain. Also, mindset. Like we wanted to get Captain back, and he said for the next season, he said, "Look, I don't want to put the time in to be good. I know how long it takes to get good, and I don't want to do that." So I think it kind of showed me like what he was thinking about and what it takes to be good. So yeah, definitely some things. And then from Tiger was just like I don't know, the guy's just a beast. He doesn't really. He was just like, I like playing aggressive. Let's play aggressive. That's what he would say to us. Like, yeah, I'm gonna run up on mid. I'll just run over the point and shoot the demo. I was like, aren't you gonna die? He's like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll just kill the demo and run away. So playing with Tiger was fun. Yeah.
You're looking you're looking back at sort of these older squads. Are there players you kind of is there anyone that stands out as someone you kind of not to obviously not to throw anyone in current witness under the bus, but is there anyone you would want to keep playing with if they had kept playing staying around?
That's probably all of them, to be honest. Like, I'd love to play with Lucas again, Gink, Class, Captain, Tiger. Who else do we play with? Credu played a season with us. We won a season with Credu.
You played with Neo
I
as
won
well?
two seasons. I won 2 seasons with Credu actually. I won two. Neo was fun to play with because his English isn't great, so it's just so funny the things he says. Like you take a trade, you say, Neo, what's going on? He just goes, "Oops, I missed." So yeah, I don't know. I think most players like would be fun to play with again, but I don't know. There's not many spots on a team, and yeah, that kind of thing.
To come out of COVID and before we really know for sure that I-69 is gonna happen, there's this weird season 41 where you guys are kind of playing.
It wasn't I series. It was Copenhagen. We actually had Gink on the roster because we're gonna play Copenhagen with Gink. And then Copenhagen got cancelled in the
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say there was a guy on our team whose name starts with T and ends in mass, and he gave up. He said this team's stinky and we shouldn't play, and we'll make a good team next season. But yeah, that season was a weird one. But yeah, I mean, we deserved to lose. Like the SEAL team was really good. Like they smashed us in the final. I think we were like 3-0 down every map in like 10 minutes. Um, but yeah, that was a weird one. So we decided to. Yeah, Toe was very adamant from like week 2 or 3. He was like, "Yeah, we got to make a new team." So
So
yeah,
so what was the thought process then of if you play this and you kind of lose? What was the mindset of building into what has now become the witness that has kind of crushed you for a while, right? Like what are the thoughts there?
I think at that point we knew we wanted to play against NA, and after that season, I can't remember exactly how it goes down, but or like midway through that season, me and Toe were kind of talking like, what team would we build if we wanted to play versus NA? And I think the original idea was like either Captain or Sil on Roma, me, Toe, Domo on Med or Demo with Lucas, and Tiger on flank scale or something like this. Obviously, it didn't end up happening. And yeah, we ended up with Muller on Med as well. I don't even know who our first choice Med was. I'm struggling to believe it was Muller. It must have been Domo Med with Lucas. I mean, Muller was a beast, but at the time, like, there's no way we were thinking like our first choice was become Muller. But yeah, we ended up deciding like what team could we beat, make for the long run. Um, And at the time, honestly, it wasn't looking like it was going to happen because Sil didn't want to jump ship because he was afraid, not afraid, but he was like, oh, what is the other team going to think of me? Like if I leave them to join, were we called Witness from the beginning? Maybe we were to join Witness.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, it took a while to get Sil on board, but then once we got Sil, we had like a me, Todomo, Sil was like a good call, and then we trialed Scouts and Meds, and we ended up with Ixie, who I think surpassed everyone's expectations of how good he was. Like, I'll be honest, I thought he was like some fourth place player like Hudstock, and then we trialed him, and I was like, whoa, this guy's. How did I not realize this guy was this good when I played against him? But that's the thing. Until you play with a player, you don't actually know how good they are. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but it was a weird way of like how we got to the team. Like it wasn't very straightforward. There was many months where we thought like, are we even going to have a team to play I-69 with? So yeah.
I wanna talk a little bit about Domo because Domo has been on your teams for a very long time, but he's been fluctuating in and out of kind of sometimes demo, sometimes med. Like you forced.
Yeah.
He describes it. I remember him describing it as being forced onto medic. Is that true? Were you kind of?
I mean, he wasn't forced onto med, but if you think about it, back then Lucas was the best player in Europe. Like, there's no way we were kicking Lucas off demo. So he was like indirectly forced onto med. His med was also really good. Like the first time we played with his med, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's insane. Like he was very aggressive on med. That's what I remember. Like if I said stand here, he would stand here. But it's like when we play with Seeds, if I say stand here, he would say no, like I'm gonna die. So that was like a big change. Which did mean Domo fed a lot more because I would put him in bad situations. But in the end, it ended up kind of working out. Um, but he actually played med the whole time. It wasn't until this team got made that he played demo because we had Lucas. So
Because he had
yeah,
played demo in the past, just for other teams, right? He came into
yeah,
Prem
he
playing
won
demo. He
Prem.
played with Ascent
He
on demo. Like,
he won with 7. He
yeah,
won Prem with 7 season 31 or something like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
yeah, he was a very good demo player. It's just like we were like, oh, there's no spot for a demo. Play med.
What's the difference of playing with Domo on demo and playing with Lucas on demo?
Yeah, we actually talk about this sometimes, like in Mumble as a team. I think playing with Domo is just so consistent and good at what he does. Like he always has good impact on a fight, or he's in the right place at the right time. Whereas with Lucas, when you play with him, don't really know what he's doing, but sometimes a kill feed lights up and he's killed 3 guys. I'd say Lucas is more just like that star player factor, and Domo's like a. The, the thing is, this is harsh because Domo is a star player as well, but it's just like Domo's bad performance is infinitely better than Lucas's bad performance, but Lucas's best performance is like he will just 1v6 a game, whereas I mean, Domo's like, to be honest, Domo does that sometimes as well. Sometimes you play a scrim and then we play some viaduct scrim and Domo's got 500 DPM. I'm like, oh, that's why the game's easy because he just does so much damage every fight's easy. But yeah, I don't know. It's a hard toss. I would play with both. Like if Domo, for some reason can play TF2 ever again, I would play with Lucas. And if Lucas can never play again, I'll play with Domo. It's different. It's two different players, but they're both very, very good.
In a world where, um, let's say there's a world where Lucas doesn't have bad internet, and he kind of keeps playing the game as he was with you guys. Do you think that Domo stays on med? For
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, he would play Med. We wouldn't have played with Mula for sure. Like we wouldn't have cut Domo for Mula. So yeah, Domo would just be playing Med and Lucas would be on demo. But it's interesting because I don't know. I think playing with Domo taught us some lessons that we needed to learn, and I think he got us to a higher skill ceiling than we were able to get to before. Whereas I think if we kept playing with Lucas, we would have some like recurring problems, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Maybe if we played with Lucas again, we could bring it back. I feel like he's older now and I feel like he could do it now, but not when he was younger. When he was younger, he just didn't care. He was just chilling.
I wanna. I think now I want to go into the I-69 experience because this is the first LAN in like 3 years. You come, there's a Banny team there, and you guys have made the team with the express purpose of beating the Americans. What's
Yeah,
the experience of going into it? Because quite quickly after you guys had made the team, that you get to play one ETF2L season. Your kind of main rivals throughout that ETF2L season are Nerd Rage, which I
yeah.
believe
Were
they're
they
still called
Nerdrich?
Nerd. Oh, they're TF2 Easy then at that point, right?
I
Um,
don't know. Were they not Nerdrich back then?
I
I don't remember.
I think they're TF2 Easy at that point. And
Okay, are
I
they?
remember doing a content interview for I-69 that's never been released. But I
Yeah.
have this
Okay.
interview. It's still sitting on my computer. And I got to interview Banny. And he called that finals that you guys played, where it was still 10-minute round timer, because it was at LAN, it was the 5 minutes, right? As far as I remember. But the
Yeah.
season was played with 10. No, the season was played with five
Yeah.
minutes. And you guys did the thing that I was complaining about, where if we swapped down to 5 minutes, people are never gonna push out last, and you didn't. So you played two maps. It was both 0-0 the entire time. And I remember interviewing Banny pre I-69. We're doing these content interviews, and Banny was like, "I'm gonna be honest. That finals the worst finals I've ever seen in my entire life."
Yeah. He didn't know what was coming. He didn't know what was coming, baby. He
So
wasn't ready for I-69.
what was it
Yeah.
like? Because now you finally assembled a team that can not only take it to the Ascent team, but also now to froyotech, right? It's kind of the pinnacle, I guess you'd say.
We were honestly, we were kind of annoyed. Like we wanted to play the season and a LAN as prep, and then fly to America and play NA. Is like in our like ideal world, we were like, okay, we need time to learn because we never played with Mula before, we never played with Ixie before. I've never played with Seal before. I've never played with Domo and Demo before. So I was like, okay, there's quite a lot of new stuff going on. Obviously, me and Toe know how each other play, but we basically have 4 new players on new roles. So we were like, okay, we'll play the season, we'll play I Series, we'll hopefully catch a quick dub, and then we'll fly out to America after we've learned and got some LAN experience. Like, I don't think Ixie's ever played a big LAN. I don't think Mula's ever played a big LAN before I-69. And to be honest, neither had I really. Like, I-65 is kind of big, but at the same time, we weren't really expected to do well. We kind of did better than expectation. So we wanted some experience of like going into a tournament, kind of being the favorite, and then winning. And then 2 months before the LAN, they're like, boom, Froyo's coming. And we're like, oh man. So, but we weren't annoyed. We were happy to play them, happy to get the chance. But we were just thinking like, oh, we wanted to play them when we were a bit better. Um, because what ended up happening was, yeah, we decided to hold last the whole game. Which, to be honest, I don't think is a bad idea. If you think your mids are really good and you think you can win every mid fight, just hold last. Why not? And then win mids. To be honest, we really weren't that far off taking more maps off them. In groups, we lost a golden cap and a 3-2 viaduct. In upper bracket, we lost viaduct 3-1. and a golden cap granary or something. And in the grand final, we lost a 3-2 viaduct. Again, basically a golden cap. We won a golden cap, and then we lost 2 maps by 2 rounds. We lost Gully 4-2 and Granary 1-0. So if we were a better team and had more time to play and learn how to do aggressive things, because basically what we realized was we had 3 months to learn how to play the game together, and doing aggressive things is really hard, and doing passive things is manageable, right? Like you can manage, you stand here, you look at this, your job is to talk about this player doing this. Whereas doing aggressive thing requires like, I don't know, like feeling timing, if that makes sense, like feeling how people come, feeling how they do stuff, and when you can go and when you can't. And we just didn't feel like we were good enough to do that at I Series. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Probably not the most fun final for people to watch. I think first 2 maps are probably okay-ish. Maybe not Snake. Viaduct was pretty good.
I think for me the caveat on that final always has to be the fact that the last map was played at like 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't
I
mention
mean,
that actually.
like,
We started it. We
started
also
it.
played lower bracket. Yeah, we also played lower bracket at like 6 till 9 because
Yeah,
we had a long lower bracket season. We lost first map to TF2 Easy and we won the next 2, and they were like relatively close games. I think like 3-1, 3-1 we won, and we lost like 1-0 or something or 2-0. Oh no, we lost Granary.
yeah,
Yeah, they used banners on Granary. Okay, yeah, 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 I remember the game. Um, So we were tired kind of because we'd like woken up early-ish to like prep and stuff. And the grand final just gets delayed. We were told after we finished, grand final will start at 9 p.m. and it gets delayed, delayed, delayed. We played first map at midnight, I think. Started midnight. I don't think it would have changed the result. I think we still would have lost, but I think we probably could have nicked another map, maybe, or something like this. But that's life. What can you do? You have
yeah.
to deal with the situation in front of you.
I think it's maybe beyond the DreamHack ending before the last map ending. I think it is one of the most like TF2, the most like epitome of a TF2 LAN of all time, right? Of where
Yeah,
it's
4 a.m. final.
yeah, the 4 a.m. final where there's no alcohol anymore. Everyone is tired, including the players. I remember like fourth map. I saw it was like 10 minutes into the Granary game. I had a flight at 8 a.m. I looked around me. I was sitting with the Mac Bumble people, and I was sitting there. I'm like, guys, like, I can't do
I've
this
got to go.
anymore. Like, I looked at the screen, like, you know where it's headed 10 minutes into the Granary game. Like, you could tell, like, we're not winning this. I, like, went around.
Yeah,
I
this
said my
one's over.
goodbyes. I almost missed my
Yeah,
flight. That was miserable. Okay,
yeah,
so
that was tough.
for that LAN, around that LAN, Kaidus kind of showed up, and from the outside it appeared that Kaidus heard that Banny was calling and kind of like a bat signal. Jason Allen has arrived. What was it like working with him? How
I think
much
it
did
was
you work?
good. It was good. He basically would sit and mumble, record our scrims from STV, and I don't know. We so what we really wanted was he kind of just was helping out a bit. Like he said, I'm not going to come in and change how you guys play because it's 2 months before LAN, and I'm going to make you worse. Is what he said, or is I think what the impression was. So he said, I'm going to come in, and where I see anything obvious, I'll just say like, "Oh, we used to do it like that," you know. And he would record our games. And it was nice because you'd finish scrims, and you could like watch the VOD back and be like, "What actually happened here? Oh, okay, that's what happened." Um, and I think it gave us all a good like broad understanding of the game. Like flank players being able to see what the combo's doing, combo players being able to see what the flank's doing at all times. Kind of like you realize like what each other's I don't know what you want to call them, like mini games are, like what they're dealing with, like what it looks like when they're complaining in mumble, right? Like sometimes I'll say like, "Oh, this is bullshit. Why is this happening to me?" And then other people get to see it, and then someone else will say like, "There's 4 guys on the flank. What's going on?" You know, and you get to see it and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that shouldn't happen." So that was good. But the plan was for him to help out after I Series and then like really prep, and we would go to America. Obviously, neither of those things ever end up happening. But it was fun to work with him. He had some nice ideas. The thing is, he was kind of coaching. I don't know. He would help like optimize some stuff as well. Like I think he helped Domo with some demo rollouts. He definitely told me about some stuff Captain used to do that was better, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, but in terms of like big gameplay stuff, it wasn't that much. I think it's also just like a for the team like a confidence booster. Like like after the game, you can speak to Kaidus, and Kaidus will say like, "Oh, we used to do this. This used to happen," you know. So, but we really wanted him to help out afterwards, but there was no lands, so there was there was nothing to help out with, you know.
So kind of around this land, like both before and during and after, and going into Arcadia, the main storyline in Europe is that over in America we have like kind of like a bit of a. I think at that point the three-way tie kind of dissolved, where it was before it was G6, Witness, and Froyo. It turned into G6 and Froyo, and over in
Yeah,
Europe we had you guys versus TF2 Easy. You guys would play,
yeah,
and like they were the de facto like. You could tell that they would destroy everyone else in Prem, but they just couldn't beat you guys. And I wonder before we get into the Arcadia finals, before we talk about that, I want to know like what was the dynamic of playing against these guys? What do you think was holding them back from ever like? Because they never beat you. I don't think they ever beat you in a best of series.
yeah. Not like that roster of us. I don't think
No.
they ever beat us. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know the internal dynamics for their team, but yeah, if I'm honest, they probably should have beat us a few times. I think there was a few finals where we just didn't play very well, and I think if it was a more competitive game, like with more competitive players, we should have lost some tournaments. Like we should have, even I'd say some tournaments, probably if the game was more competitive, shouldn't have even been in the final. Um, I think when we play well, we're really good, and hopefully we've shown that at some tournaments. But some tournaments we don't play very well, some online finals, and that's life. But because it's TF2, you kind of get this like cash your free win check, you know, when you're kind of the best team of like, oh, even if we like our floor somehow is higher than other teams' ceilings, which in fairness might not even be true, but might just be like in those finals we somehow were able to win when maybe we shouldn't have been able to. I don't really know what was holding them back. I'd definitely say they probably should have won the Arcadia final. Like we did not deserve to win that. We did not play well. We were playing really bad. We played really well the day before, which was funny, but on the final we played really bad. We had a bad morning as well. We played a ETF 12 game from LAN, and
Oh yeah.
we almost lost to like the fourth place team or something on Snake. We were like 4-1, 4-2 down or something. We somehow clawed back a 5-4 victory. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think one thing they did was they maybe looked at how we played too much. They were like countering us instead of doing their own thing. Is what I'd say. Like we would scrim them sometimes, and we could see like, oh, they've just looked at how we pushed this last point, and they've put stickies in a place where I normally stand. You know, I think like I don't know if it actually is the case, but if they just focus more on like what can we do to win instead of like countering us, maybe they could have beaten us. Yeah,
So now let's talk about the Arcadia final because I mean
yeah,
it's by far the closest final ever in history. What was
yeah.
the mental tax that you must have been on throughout that? Like,
I mean, it started off pretty well. We were 2-0 up. We were chilling.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We could all kind of feel like we weren't playing very well. Even the maps we won, like they were close, but they never should have been close. You know, like they were maps where we're like really in control and we win 1-0 on a golden cap. You know, like so we could kind of feel it wasn't going well. I think we could all feel none of us were really playing to the standard we're meant to play to. Um, which is funny because I think at I Series that didn't really happen. I think we played for how good we were at the time. We played relatively well. I won't say we played at our peak, but we played relatively close to our peak. We just weren't as good. But then at Arcadia, we'd improved a lot through the season. Okay, yeah, we had some. Okay, yeah, we had some like logistical stuff. Like we didn't scrim 2 weeks before because of some stuff in my life. So I was away for 2 weeks and I couldn't scrim. But that was not an excuse because on the Saturday we won very comfortably. So even though we were all playing on like no scrim time and not much game time, we were still able to win the Saturday like quick. Um, but yeah, sometimes the final just doesn't go well. You could feel it. That was the worst thing. You could feel like you were playing bad, and like you could feel like, oh, we're gonna lose. Was kind of how it was feeling. So yeah.
that was a really fun game. that was. It,
Um,
I
that was
had
not fun.
I was yeah I got to sit behind you.
Yeah,
I remember at the beginning of the product game, you were like you were like 3-18, and I saw the Twitter post in my head of
Yeah,
getting
it
a
wasn't free.
photo.
It was 5.
You were
I was
like
like 5.
5 and 18, and in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get a photo of Pappy pressing tab, and he's gonna be 5 and 18, and I'm gonna post and be like, he's just like
Hey,
me.
and then you record a beautiful sequence of my gameplay. And I was like, that's a very nice recording. I played very well that round. Thank you, Wandum.
Yeah,
But my tab is still like 10 and 18 or
yeah.
something. But yeah,
I was recording because I kept missing. When you press
yeah,
tab, you
yeah,
press tab too fast, and it kept missing. You kept getting kills. I'm like, what the fuck? I think you can
yeah,
hear
yeah.
in the recording as well, where I'm like complaining to Ignis, who sat
You're
next to
mad.
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen that.
It was good.
Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah.
That was very
We
good
lost
game.
we lost Viaduct as well, which is like
Yeah.
that that map should have been unplayable for them. Like in scrims, like we had not lost that map in like years. Like at that point, we were like, that was our comfy map, you know. And when we lost Viaduct, I think we all went, oh shit, you know, like this isn't going well. But yeah, sometimes you get lucky. I really don't think we deserve to win the goal we won. So
I
I'll
wanna
take it.
I wanna drag us over from one topic to a completely different topic, and it's gonna kind of make sense, hopefully. But something that you are kind of a bit notorious, you and a bunch of other ascent players for playing is you play a lot of Dota 2. And I'm wondering specifically, right? Because I know that you are a big fan of people like Seb and Kuro, and I'm wondering
Yeah,
because Seb also obviously has the very famous speech in the True Sight TI8 where he like they're down like a bunch of they're down no it's 2-2, and he has the game before the finals where he's like talking about, oh my god, like these guys, and it's like the most insane speech I've ever heard.
yeah.
Do you think you have that ability as well? What was it like going into that final game? What are you doing?
Mm,
What are we
I
saying?
mean, I think we went outside and like did like a team talk in between each map. I think the only time I've had a thing similar to a speech like that was I series lower bracket when we lost map 1, and then we had like a big speech, and I was like, I don't care, we lost. Let's just go smash them. We're playing. It was like Process and Sunshine. I was like, there is no way we're losing with Tomas on Process and Sunshine. Or, you know, saying something like this. But Arcadia, I think we were just going. It wasn't like that. We could all feel like shit is going wrong. Like we're trying to build each other up, but we all kind of know in the back of our head like it's not really working. You know, I think we probably were like trying to boost each other, but it just, you know, some days it's going to work for you, some days it's not. But it's good to try and think positively. But yeah, we, like you said, we all do like Dota. I'm a big sub fan. I've listened to a lot of the sports psychology stuff, and I think it helps. I mean, it doesn't change how you feel in the moment. You still feel like I'm playing well or I'm not playing well, you know, but maybe understanding like I feel like this and it's fine. I'll try and, you know, win anyway. Or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you know what I mean. I think knowing about it probably helps subconsciously somehow. Um, but yeah,
Are those what do you think you take away? Do you think you take anything away from having played Dota? And does that has that helped your TF2 in any way?
I think I've taken things away from listening to top level people talk about competition. I think that's definitely like, how do you, because basically it's quite simple. When you're the underdog, everything's very easy. When you're an underdog, winning is, well, if you come second, that's fine. You weren't expected to win, and if you win, it's like the best day ever. But how do you go into a tournament as a favorite and still win? And how are you able to play close to your peak in a big game? I think I learned some stuff about that and like how to, yeah, what mindset you should have and how you can build up teammates and stuff like this. But from actually playing the game, like there's like no transferable skills apart from communication. There's a there was one Dota team that had really like clean communication. I really like that, the way they would talk, like very calm in like stressful situations. And we tried to emulate that for some time. We talked a lot about communication as a team and like what's important, what needs to be said, what's priority, blah blah blah, all this stuff. So yeah.
I'm wondering for you guys. I mean, so you mentioned this communication, right? What does your ideal communication then look like for a team? If you could just construct people that would do as you want them to in the game, right? Like what does that ideal communication look like for you?
I think for me, it's 6 players who really understand the game, understand where they can have an impact, and speak when they can. So really you kind of want 6 players connected on like the same. For me, 6 players connected on the same wavelength, and like if Ixie thinks he can make a play here, he should communicate it and go for it. Like everyone should play off what they see and should take every opportunity they have. And yeah, obviously, like I don't know, I think like TF2 or at least my teams have gone away from that like old school main cooler thing. Like I've not main cooled for years. Um, I don't actually think it's a good way to play the game. Like I think back then it was because you organize people, whereas I think now like players are good enough to read the game well, and you don't need one guy saying like, "Guys, just hold," like or whatever. Like we're gonna do this lobby right push, and we're gonna do this, and don't forget to do that. Like now everyone just knows their role, and it should be like people speak when they see something valuable, and they can communicate it to the team if that makes sense. And if something is really valuable, they need to make it heard. You know. But yeah.
So if you're to give either yourself or like X Y up and coming player now coming in, what would you suggest? Like how would you say, like let's say you're someone, let's put the bar pretty high, right? Let's say you're like a high playoffs player and you're getting to Div 1. You're maybe not the finals, but you're playing the top level of Div 1. What would you focus on as a player to sort of make that next step and make it over to be a competent Prem player?
I mean, that's too hard. I think it
Yeah.
depends what road you want to go down. If you want to go down the team road of like, I'm going to play with this team no matter what, and we're going to improve as a team, you can do that. Or you can go down the road of, I'm going to play a load of pugs and I'm going to try and get picked up. I still think that's a good way to do it. Like, that's how I did it back in the day. I think people, they shouldn't, but people put a lot of stock into like how people do in pugs. So if you want to get picked up, that's a good way to do it. The problem is once you then get picked up, you need to be good. So you might have some issues there. But I think the thing is that communication is like a team thing. So you can only work on that as a group of 6. Like can't you can practice communicating well, but with team dynamics, like the way you could communicate well in a pug, and that would be very different from how you communicate well in a team. If for me at least. Um,
Do you find a lot of joy in now having a team that's kind of relatively like you know each other quite well? I would assume that now the communication is a good level. Does that feel a lot better? Do you enjoy it more having this kind of team synergy compared to kind of, I guess, the more scrappy team situations in the past?
I think the more scrappy ones are more fun. They're so chaotic. Everyone's screaming when you win. You're like slamming the desk, all that stuff. Like that's fun. But in terms of trying to win, yeah, like the way our team communicates now is good. But also like team dynamics are a thing, right? Like people need to get along, all this stuff. So you have weeks where you get on really well, weeks where you get on less well. Like when you're winning a lot, that tends to solve a lot of problems. People get on well. When you're not winning so much, people don't get on as well. So I'd say like communication is like a ongoing changing thing of like the team's dynamic, right? Like so. But yeah, I prefer it the way we do it now. Sure.
I'm kind of wondering specifically. You mentioned it a little bit already, where you were talking about sort of the how do you set the mindset of going into a tournament if you're the expected favorites. How do you approach it? Like for example, like we just had Poland, right? Just had Poland, and you're
Yeah.
going into that line as kind of the heavy favorites, right? Like what is the mindset going into that? What are you telling people?
I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like you obviously can't put too much pressure on yourself because you just drive yourself crazy if you truly think like, oh, I'm so much better than everyone, we're gonna go in and win. Like you can't think like that. You kind of just have to take it one game at a time and realize what you're doing is playing TF2, and your team is quite good at TF2. So have some confidence. You don't need to be scared or anything. And yeah, I don't know what mindset do we have. It's hard. It changes, and it can change on many factors. How scrims have gone before the tournament. How I don't know things are going. I think once we got there and we started playing, we were like, oh, we feel good. Like we're playing good TF2. We played like a Prem finalist team in the groups and we smashed them in like 10 minutes. And we were like, whoa, okay, we're playing well this weekend. So it's kind of hard. I don't know. How do you prepare? Yeah, I think it's harder to come into a tournament as a favorite, but you just kind of have to take it game by game and not get ahead of yourself, all that stuff.
Do you feel that pressure of being kind of now the number one European team, even though you haven't played the last 2 seasons, but I would assume that when you guys do something, the other teams are looking at it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I feel the pressure. I mean, there's a little bit of pressure there, right? Like you're playing, you don't want to lose. Like I'm pretty sure everyone on my team will tell you we like winning less than we hate losing, if that makes sense. Like losing is like the worst thing ever, and winning is like okay, nice, So um, there is a bit of pressure to that, but at this point, we've won so much. If we lost, that's life. You're going to lose at some point. Like, does it matter if you lose? No, life still goes on. You still did all the great things you did in the past, and if you want to keep playing, you can do more great things. I think the only thing TF2 suffers from is there's a lack of tournaments. Like, you look at these other games, like you can get knocked out first round of a tournament and win the biggest tournament of the year later. Like the problem with TF2 is you have one tournament a year. So if you're the favorite and you don't win that, you're going to get clowned. Like, oh, fire alarm's going off. I don't know if you can hear that. It's just a test. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think if there was more tournaments, people would be more accepting of loss, if that makes sense. I think because there's so few tournaments, as like the top team, you're like you really don't want to lose. But actually, I think losing is good for you sometimes. Like losing makes you more motivated. Losing makes you understand weaknesses in your game and all this stuff. Because when you win, yeah, sure, you can talk and say like, oh, we could have done this better, but it's never going to be as impactful as when you lose and the mistake made you lose instead of the mistake made you win less hard. So there's a bit of pressure, but I'm pretty happy with everything my teams have done. And if we do lose one, that's life.
So we talked a little bit about how Witness was kind of like from the inception, it was a team made to play against the North Americans, right? So let's imagine a hypothetical universe where there is this tournament, and we can kind of ignore the location because I think what matters is who's participating, right? If you're, or let's just say like Witness now, you go to a LAN and it is Witness Gaming, and like let's say we can do like the top two, top three of Europe or whatever. So like Mandem is there as well, and then we can say like okay, it's the top four NA invite teams. Of how do you think? Obviously, because I think one of the matchups that obviously the Witness Froyo matchup we kind of only got to saw once, but I think the matchup that more than anything that the TF2 community has really suffered from is never getting to see you guys play against G6. What do you think
Yeah, I
that?
think that'd be,
What do you think that kind of that matchup looks like for you?
I think that'd be fun. I think I don't know, never played against them. But if I had to guess, I'd say I'm confident in my team. I think we match up well. I mean, we were pretty bad at I series and we almost beat Froyo. So like that G6 team, it took them like 3 or 4 lands to like take a series off Froyo. Like they lost a few lands in like speed run fashion. The first time we played Froyo, we took it pretty close. So I'd say it would be. I mean, it depends what state the team's in, right? Like if we play towards our peak, yeah, I think we have a good matchup against anyone. If we play like RCADIA Finals, we probably come last in the whole tournament. So it depends. It depends on some factors. But if we're playing well and we're motivated and enjoying the game, I think it'd be really fun. I'd like to say we win. I'd be confident that we win, but it would be really a fun tournament to play. And I think both a lot of those NA teams are really good and they play like fun TF2, and I think we'd play fun games against them for sure.
I'm kind of wondering like, are you ever in a situation where you're looking at your game? Do you ever look for inspiration in other teams? If you're like trying to, you were mentioning in the past, right? Kaidus
Honestly,
and Captain
at this
telling
point,
you, okay,
at this point, I don't. I used to watch other people's gameplay and stuff. At this point, no. Maybe that's a flaw. Maybe that shows I'm not as motivated as I used to be and stuff like this. But at this point, no, I've not really looked at anyone else's gameplay for a long time outside of trying to help other people. I still think I could improve at a lot of things. I'm not saying I'm like super, I don't know, consistent, perfect player. I'm not. But I think most of the times I'm able to understand what I'm doing wrong, like in the moment or after a game and fix it. But I don't like boot up some old Captain demo from 2018 and go like, what did Captain do on Sunshine Mid? Like, no, I think one thing I'd say my team has done well is we have kind of invented a lot of stuff that now has become meta, if that makes sense. Like a lot of what people do because it's efficient was like we just created it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of cool. I think to get better, you kind of need to create things. You don't need to like steal from the past because generally people get better. So yeah.
Do you think where was I going with this? I had this thought 2 seconds ago. It's disappeared from me completely. Oh yeah. No, it's gone again. Fuck. What was it? It was on the phone and I completely lost it. It's not even on my phone. It was something else. Okay. Well, just this is why I have the questions in the first place. I think we've kind of covered everything, kind of mostly TF2 related that I wanted to talk about at this point. So I think the last couple of questions are kind of like rounding it out, right? So I think the first kind of question, if you kind of you look back and you look at sort of how is this is the question I was going to ask you. How your relationship with the game now, how has that changed compared to where it was when you first were entering Prem? Right? I remember seeing one of the things you say in the Mookie interview back in 2017. He interviews you and he's like, "What do you think you could improve on?" One of the things you say is if something you'd say that you tell a younger self is that it's just a game. That maybe don't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
Would you still give
I
yourself
think
that advice?
I give my younger self that advice now. Yeah. Like think a lot of the breaks I took from the game were like good, like made me have more perspective, made me probably a better teammate. Not saying I'm a great teammate all the time. I'm sure I've been terrible at times, but I think in general I'm a fairly decent teammate and stuff like this, and that stuff matters. But yeah, like I think you have to have a certain amount of level-headedness to win or like to do well. I just didn't have that when I was younger. It's just crazy, just screaming and all this stuff. But yeah, I think saying it's just a game just like takes the not pressure, but like takes the sting out of the game. Like hey, it's just a game. You win, you lose, you lose. Nothing changes. Like you're still you. You still have everything from your life and the friends you have either in game, out of game, all this stuff. So shouldn't. It's good to take it serious if you want to win and compete. Taking it serious is fun, but also like it's just a game. Like it's it can make. I think it can actually make you better to think like that. Like if it means too much to you, like losses probably hurt too much or whatever. Like I definitely noticed I got a lot better at the game as I it's not cared about it less, but as I kind of took the pressure out of the game, if that makes sense. So
Is there an aspect of I think for me what has helped me obviously I'm a mid player, right? But like for me for me it was not needing being good at TF2 to be a good person, right? Like when I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
grinding to get good at the game, I tied a lot of my self worth to how good I was at hitting shots in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that's common. I think a lot of I definitely did that when I was younger. Like you care so much about being good that nothing else matters. Like if I just hit that extra rocket, if I could hit that air shot, I could do this. Like that would make you feel good. And I think once you realize like because also that's not sustainable as a competitor, right? Say you're playing a game and you're winning, and then you miss a shot that's easy, and you just tilt out of your mind. Like you're never going to win. So I think once you don't tie yourself to how good you are at TF2, it can make things easier. I mean, it might not. It might not. You might still be the same player, but for me, I definitely noticed that or like how you compare yourself to other players. Like just don't do that. Just you're you. That's fine. How can you use you to win? I'm not captain. So like you can't be captain. It's fine. You're you. Just play the game your way. See if you can win. But I think a lot of people, especially when they start getting into the game and like trying to climb the divs, they think this way. Um, and it's potentially not very good. I don't know if they still do, but definitely, like when I was coming up, I spoke to a lot of people, and a lot of people agreed with me, saying like if they had a good whatever week of playing or scrims or they made playoffs, that would like be a huge thing for them. And it should be a big thing, but it shouldn't be the only thing. So
I think the sort of kind of final question that sort of naturally leads us into now is, you happy with the time spent? Because obviously now you've spent a lot of time playing TFT.
Yeah, yeah.
You've invested many hours. Are we happy with that?
I mean, people always ask this question. I just feel like a lot of people will say, like, no, I'm not happy with the time spent. But I am. Like, why wouldn't I? I did it. It was fun. I met a lot of people. I guess I got quite lucky for like the amount of time spent. I got a pretty, like, if you want to call it like payout. Like, I was able to win some stuff. I was able to compete at some tournaments, stuff like this. So like, yeah, I'm happy with the time spent. I also didn't do the whole pub thing before, so like my gameplay hours aren't as high as some of my teammates. Auto has a lot of hours, but yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't be happy. I loved so many of the things I've done through the game, like competing at lands, some matches I've played in, some matches I've watched. Like I remember watching like I-52, I-55 VODs, no I-52 VODs, and then watching I-55 is like when I just got into the game. Like some of the coolest matches I've ever seen, like high pissed matches, all this stuff. So no, I mean, for me, it's definitely. I love the time I spent. Like it's super fun. The people I've met, the team, like a lot of the team dynamic stuff, like I can take into other parts of my life, right? Like learning how, like a team is like a. I think who was it that said it to me? Maybe Sil or someone said like a team is like a six-way relationship. Like it's not just you and everyone else; it's everyone else and everyone else, and you need to understand these things. So yeah, like I can take that with through to me in many parts of my life. So I'm very happy with yeah, the time spent and all the things I've done for sure.
Do you have any sort of favorite memories, TF2 related memories that you're willing to share with the public?
Yeah, for sure. Viaduct, Node Rage versus froyotech, like I-55. I think that's probably like one of the best maps I've ever watched. They use cheat feed. You just saw like Tech hitting huge air shots, Banny hitting huge air shots, Zebasai doing crazy stuff, Blaze doing crazy stuff. Clockwork was there as well. Wait, was 55 was Clock there?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Clockwork.
Anyway, like that, I always loved that game. That was, I think, like when I was open, I watched that. I was like, "What this game is." There were so many big shots in that game. Like even now, if you watch that game, you'd be like, "There's some crazy stuff." What else did I really enjoy? I mean, definitely, yeah. Some of the winning moments are fun. Um, I think also when you see your friends win something is also pretty fun. Like I remember watching there was some game like Yellen was playing high or something, and they tied a Badlands game with like 2 seconds left, and the whole Mumble like we've got like 10 people in Mumble watching and screaming. That was pretty fun. Um, yeah, what else? What else were good finals? The season 36 final that was like a Nerd Rage versus some like Prem stack with like Nasboy, Nubby, Slim Nishal, those guys. Like that final was super fun to watch. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Of recent times, I don't know. When you do it too much, like the the effect wears off, you know. So it's probably more like nostalgic moments, if that makes sense.
All right. I think those are kind of the questions I had. I think this is now the time for you, if you have the floor. If there's any shoutouts? If there's any plans for the future that you're willing to say? What is yeah, let's do this first. What does the future witness look like? Are you willing to share this publicly?
Yeah, I think we aren't going to play unless it's an LA LAN. I think at this point, and even then, I'm not sure we can get six. Probably get five. Might need a new player, which is a shame because I really don't want to get a new player. But we might have to get a new player. I we have yeah. I don't know. We have some people that don't want to play. We have some people that want to play. I'm starting a new part of life. That means I'm a bit more busy, stuff like this. Probably not playing online seasons. Probably not playing the German LAN. Maybe some mix of us might go, but probably not. Um, I'd love to play an NA LAN. But also, if that's in a year, who knows if we have motivation in a year? Hopefully we do, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we play again. I'd hope that Poland's not the last time I play. Oh, actually, Div 1 finals. Come on. Yeah, I have to take the floor to apologize. I'm sorry I played Div 1, guys. It was not good of me.
I think I've never had anyone unite against a team more than when Pappy,
Yeah,
young up and coming Pocket came into the Div 1 finals. And,
I was beasting, bro. I didn't play the game for like 2 months. I was
you
beasting.
messaged me and you said Div 1 got hands.
Div 1
You're playing
does
against Ramix
does
players.
have hands. Yeah, they're good, man. They were flossing on me until the Sunday. The Sunday is when I leveled up. Then I was good. But that first day, whew, that was tough.
Damn. All right. I think now shout out time. You have anyone you want to say
Oh
shout
yeah,
out to?
shoulder. Uh, all the people I played with. I don't know, friends I've played with, people that got me into the game, like people that don't know me, like Star and Joma and Mela and those guys. Like watching them play was fun. I think one, not to look like a brown nose, but the production never really gets any love. And think about all the tournaments they've put on, like, they put on like 1 or 2 lands a year, and no one ever says anything about production apart from the bad things. So production doesn't get enough love. They do a really big job for no congratulations, apart from that they love the game. What else is there? I think that's kind of it. The people I've played with, my friends along the way. I don't know. The people I've played against as well, competitors, is fun. Like, yeah. Oh, I'm a sponsor. Big up Witness. We love Witness.